This is a perfect debate opening song right here. Hey, we're less than a half hour away from I believe the final Fargo mayoral debate here on 970 WDAY, AM 1100 The Flag. You folks out in western North Dakota on 1090 The Flag, you are going to get the great one, Mark Levin. Kathy Diekman, Shahinga Bazoo coming up in moments. Here's where you started, Ronnie, for the debate tonight. Here it is right here. Another one, Jay, I don't have proof, but I was told the Mystic Lake Casino in the cities borrows.
Need a lot of it, Jay.
So serious, when you were in television, because I don't use any of that in TV. I just go out and tan and, I look like this.
Lucky you.
No, I mean, you guys, what was the reason for the pancake makeup? Was that just so there's no shine on the skin?
I mean, especially us pasty Scandinavians, we just don't look good under light. And you have to have a lot of light to make the shots look better. Not as much as you used to. The cameras are way better than they ever used to be. But, yeah, you needed to put a lot of light on us pasty white North Dakotans. And so if you did that, you'd look like a ghost. So they put, I don't know, pancake. I mean, that's the old days back in the JFK debate, tan, rested, and ready. Okay. Nixon. But it was foundation, like your wife would put on, foundation. And honestly, I have to say it. I hated it every single time.
Everybody I've talked to in TV that had to wear stuff, same thing.
Just it's the best part. When you leave TV, that's the best part of the gig. Yeah. I mean, you're not doing like eyeshadow and crap like that, but you got to have that base of stuff. And I'm telling you, you'd go home and you'd have to chisel that crap off.
And then your shirts, your shirt collars.
Well, see, I never put it down by my neck. Okay. I just said, you know what? If that's what it's going to take, someone else can have the job. I'm not going to put it all the way down.
well,
that kind of thing.
It was funny because when we were downtown where you used to broadcast out of when you were the sports director on DIY television, you go into the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
And you flip on the light and it's this big vanity. It's just like, it's like you're on the sun and there's all these things of makeup piled up in the bathroom. All right, enough on that. 442, Steve. This is
really, can we please talk about studio
we're done talking about Maybelline and Steve Holstrom. Let's talk debate tonight. This is the pretty sure this is the last one before the election. Early voting starts on the 2nd, just days away. The election is June 9th. We got all the candidates here tonight. This is going to change or could change Fargo for years to come. Because it's not just this, it's the commission seats too, but the mayoral, and with the possibility of, if they've got enough signatures, and I'm hearing rumors that they do, people could also be voting on the ward system, and that changes things as well. That adds more commissioners down the road. That really takes the mayor out of the equation on some things, puts the mayor in the equation in more power in other areas.
I don't think that can make the cutoff for the early window.
No,
you're talking about November.
It would be a special election.
There would be a special election within 60 or 90 days. I think.
Special election. Okay. Yeah.
So what are you hoping for tonight as a moderate? Because you and Bonnie and the study.
I mean, just candor. And what I love about this group is I don't think we're going to have a lot of people who feel like they're confident. Every one of these people is really confident who they are, which I think makes for a great debate. 'Cause I don't think anybody's going to pretend to be anything they're not.
They stick to their guns.
I think they're gonna, and I appreciate that. No matter where you fall on the political end, if you like them super conservative, whether you like them super liberal or anywhere in between, and we got them kind of everywhere, every step along the way there. These are people that say, here's who I am. I'm not going to try to be a fake, phony imposter here. I'm going to tell you what I think. And if that's good enough for you, fine. If not, no big deal. So I think we're going to have a good debate tonight. We're bringing back from the Fargo City Commission debate that we did. We're going to bring back those challenges that we did.
Explain that.
Yeah. So we are giving each candidate 2 opportunities to listen to what somebody says and say, I want to challenge you on that.
Okay.
And you get 15 seconds to state your point. Like Jay Thomas and Steve Holstrom are doing a debate. And Steve Holstrom says, I love little kids. And then Jay Thomas
water and he says that.
Jay Thomas says, well, I want to challenge that because every vote you've ever done has been like, to ban childhood vaccines or whatever. So you got 15 seconds to challenge me to say, Steve, I don't think that's who you are. That's not how you voted. That's not what you've been saying all along. And then I've got 30 seconds to defend myself.
And then that's it. It's over.
And that's it. It's over.
Okay.
Otherwise, you could have 2 that go back and forth all night, which would be fun if you only had 2.
Well, who says this can't go for 6 hours?
None of these people
want to. That's for the post-game show.
So.
Yeah, exactly. They'll go into the post-game show.
But this will give an opportunity, I think, for people to differentiate themselves with those questions. And then the other part of that is that at the end, each candidate, before they do their closing statement, is going to get 60 seconds to draw a distinction between themselves and one or more of the other candidates here. And I think we've got some people that you could say maybe kind of fit together a little bit in a certain group. And so I think you could have somebody say, I want to call out so-and-so and so-and-so because they believe that, Fargo should give, free bongs and free drugs to everybody. And they're saying a different story because they don't want you to know the truth tonight. I am the one candidate who's going to shut down the downtown engagement center, whatever it's being called now. I will campaign from the minute I get elected to get rid of that thing. So that's where I'm different. So we have, I think, we're going to have a really good race. And I think that each of these people is going to have somebody who they want to kind of take a little bit of air out of their sails. So I would not be surprised to see some good back and forth during the debate. Well, I mean, this is good radio, right? I mean, if I'm honest about it, but I don't think you have to be a jerk about it to make your point and say, Steve, you're lying. You have not said anything like that all along, and now it's time for an election, or your voting record says that you're going to spend. Now you're talking about being a fiscal conservative. Tell me in the last 4 years when you've been on this commission, when have you been the one to say no on spending? You can't find those opportunities. So I think we could have some of that. I think it could be cordial, but I think it could be absolutely spirited.
What I'm saying, I'm saying I think you are going to see these candidates holding the other candidates' feet to the fire, which is a good thing.
I think so too. And I think because it's competitive, I think most of the candidates, if not all, are going to feel like I've got a shot in this thing. Mm-hmm. And so I hope people, quote unquote, go down swinging tonight.
Look, I don't, and I've had most of the candidates on I think I've had all of them on except for one. And that's not because I said, no, I made the decision that, look, I'm not going to reach out. You reach out to me if you want time on my show. And the candidates have. And I don't think any of them, Steve, are really out of it. It's going to depend on who comes out and votes.
Yes.
And how many come out and vote. And I think because this is going to have a big change to Fargo for many years, I think what you're going to see this election for this election is I think you are going to see a voter turnout like we haven't seen in a long time.
I think you're right, Jay. Typically these midterm elections, whatever,
Yeah.
But in the city of Fargo, think about what we have here. You've got a massive mayor's race, a massive city commission race, and school board, they're looking for 5 people. I mean, you could have a complete seismic shift on everything in the city of Fargo. You could go, how do I say this? I'm choosing my words carefully today because I want to be true to the process tonight.
He's in his moderator mode right now.
I kind of am.
No, I get that.
I mean, when you think about it, I don't think this is controversial as I'm thinking it through. You could go from more of a left-leaning commission to a conservative commission, and that could mean the mayor and the whole commission altogether. And on the school board, I don't think you could completely sway that balance if you. Now, these are all nonpartisan races, but we know how these people are wired.
Sure they are.
It could be very different what comes out of here. You could end up with a majority, one way or the other, that could definitely change what happens in Fargo.
Real quick, emailer says, I can't watch it live. Will it be recorded to watch later? To watch.
Yep. Our YouTube channel,
which is
go on YouTube and search WDAY Radio.
Okay, yeah, radio, not WDAY TV, WDAY. Just
and
search.
Our website's WDAYradionow.com. We'll have it archived as well. You bet.
Our Facebook page too, as well. We'll have it.
Facebook page too.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So again, I don't think. I think it's up for grabs for any of these candidates. Again, it's just going to depend on who's coming out to vote, how many are coming out to vote. And what's nice is we're back to real American voting. One vote, one person. No more of this. Vote
approval.
For
I completely agree. We tried to dumb down the electorate the best we could, but the legislature stepped in on that. And let me say this too, Jay, about the mayor candidates. I know all of them fairly well, except probably Sekou. I don't know him very well. But from everything that I had him on my show.
He's a nice guy.
Really good dude. And that's what I was going to say about all of them. Some of them come off differently in public than how I know them to be. But I think we've got 4, 5 people, if I put Sekou, and I've got no reason not to think that he is this way, that really do want the best for Fargo. Now, they have different ways of getting there.
Yeah.
Different philosophies, but there's not anybody here where you're like, oh, that guy, he got convicted of, beating up a couple of ex-girlfriends and whatever else. You don't have any of that. These are good people in this race, and they're very different. How they're going to govern will be very, very different. But for whatever that matters, I think you have people that are coming in not to make a show, not because they want to get rich and famous, because they believe that they are the best person to lead Fargo into the next 4 years. And I say this on all these debates. When we wrap it up, I say, like Teddy said, get in the arena. If you're going to sit back and complain, do something about it. These people are all doing it. And I've got a lot of respect for people that get into these races, because the amount of hassle and time and effort and energy and money now. These candidates are pumping a lot of money into these races. Yeah. It's not nothing, and so they're rolling up their sleeves. They're going to work, and they're all doing their best to earn those votes.
Listener wants to know, so once a new mayor is elected, when do they take office? I know it's like the very end of June or July, first second or something like that.
Yeah, the 22nd commission meeting is the last commission meeting with everybody.
One, yeah.
And I want to say maybe it's July 1 then, something like that. So, Mayor Mahoney's got, a month left in his term, something to that effect.
All right, so we're about coming up on 8 minutes away from the debate. Again, the debate will go from 5 to 7 here on our flagship station, 970 WDAY. Also, you folks on AM 1100, the flag will get the Fargo mayoral debate. You folks listening out west central North Dakota, we love you. You're not going to get a debate out there. The debate out there, because we love you, we're going to give you the great one, Mark Levin, as always. So, and I believe as you're watching this debate, you will not be able to. I don't know if you'll be able to comment on our. What's going on out there? I don't know
the sharpest dressed man in the building just walked in. Sekou.
Yeah, that guy wears some killer suits.
And
what was your obsession this morning on your show with the guy with the suit?
Dude.
I'm in my office. I'm like, okay, what the hell? I got to flip over. I'm like,
sure,
that is a nice looking suit. That striped suit.
I'm telling you, the black guys wear that stuff so nice. They look so dang good. And us pasty Scandinavians, we try to put on a suit like that. And
it ain't going to happen.
Addison said I could pull it off. I don't know.
Well, some of that too comes.
I don't know if you could or not. You're a nice dressed man, but that suit just doesn't say Hallstrom or Thomas.
That was
a nice suit.
Hello, I'm here, and I came to do business. Is what that suit is all about. There,
you're not buying that off the rack. Unless you go to where yours.
Well, if you're going to Halberstadt's, that's where I get all my shirts, all my Lugano shirts.
Had to quantify that. Yeah.
I love these Lugano shirts. I'll never wear another dress shirt other than Lugano. Absolutely love them. Halberstadt's, West Acres Mall. Love that place.
Shameless plug.
Oh, well, you got to do that.
Wardrobe for the J. Thomas Show provided.
And for rides now, too. So after the debate, Steve and I will come back on. We could go till 7:30. We could go till 8, but we'll be back recapping and taking your phone calls. We want to hear from you, man. Let us know what you thought of the debate. That's coming up just after 7. All right, you ready to go switch seats from talk show host to moderator with Bonnie Amistadi?
I cannot wait. I think it's going to be really good stuff tonight. And it's the last chance for these folks to win some votes. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of people who have not made up their minds yet. It's people talking on my neighborhood, around the neighborhood.
All right.
Not sure. So here we go.
Sekou, Sirleaf, Dave Piepkorn, Denise Kolpack, Josh Boschee, and Michelle Turnberg in this studio in minutes. The final Fargo mayoral debate on 970 WDAY, 93.1 FM, and all our social media pages. Folks, I'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 from the pool. So I'm going to do my show from the pool tomorrow.
Turnberg, and I'm running for mayor of Fargo. Fargo deserves the leadership.
People think golf simulators are just...
Truly.
Weather and news, fast and first. This is WDAY Radio, AM 970 and FM 93.1. WDAY, Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo.
Fargo is standing at a critical crossroads. This isn't just another election. It's a defining moment that will shape the community for years to come. With stakes at an all-time high, who will lead as Fargo's first ever full-time mayor? This is the Fargo Mayoral Debate on WDAY Radio and The Flag.
Good evening and welcome. You're listening to WDAY Fargo and WZFG Dilworth, The Flag. Tonight we at Fieldstone Group are proud to host the final Fargo Mayor Candidate Debate before Election Day. I'm Steve Hallstrom, and tonight is your last chance to hear directly from the people who want to lead this city before you vote. 5 candidates are here tonight, all 5 that are running for office. Josh Boschee, Denise Kolpack, Dave Piepkorn, Sekou, Sirleaf, and Michelle Turnberg. We thank all 5 for being here with us tonight. My colleague Bonnie Amistadi will walk you through how the night is going to work.
Absolutely. Welcome to all of you in studio and to our audience tonight on radio, mobile app, smart speaker, YouTube, and our websites. Thanks for joining us. We have all the 5 candidates, as Steve just mentioned, and each one will make their case to you before you vote. And after each question is answered, any candidate may challenge something another candidate says. You might challenge that their voting record doesn't match up with their statements, or they haven't been consistent throughout the campaign. It's meant to give you a chance to hold each other accountable. You have 15 seconds for those challenges. The candidate being challenged then has 30 seconds to respond, and then we'll move to the next question, so no 2 candidates control the clock. Each candidate gets 2 challenges for the entire evening, so use them wisely. Steve and I may ask brief clarifying questions, but we will not challenge what any candidate has said. That's not our job tonight. We'll take a short break right around 6 o'clock. Then near the end of the evening, each candidate will have 60 seconds to draw a distinction between yourself and the other candidates, and or on their philosophy or a particular issue. 60 seconds, it's optional, and we'll close with a 60-second closing statement from each of you. And our timer, JT over here, is going to keep you honest. When you hear that, you have 10 seconds remaining, so if you can kind of wrap up your train of thought, that would be great. And now we're going to be doing opening statements, alphabetical by last name. And so, Josh Boschee, you are up first.
Well, good evening and good to be here. Thanks for hosting tonight's debate. I've spent the last 14 years representing Fargo and Bismarck and would love the opportunity to come back and continue that work here in our own backyard. I feel that Fargo needs a new vision of leadership. We have seen some of the dysfunction at the dais, and it's a continued theme that we hear from the public about their frustration about a lack of a vision, lack of a strategic plan, and the lack of ability to move things forward. As a leader, I'm somebody who has been able to collaborate and work with everyone, regardless of political affiliation or what part of the state they're from or what viewpoint they bring, and have been able to deliver results for Fargo as a part of that. So look forward to bringing that back to Fargo, and I hope to have your vote on June 9th.
All right, Denise?
Sure, thank you for having us tonight. I love Fargo, and as mayor, I think my number one job is to make sure everyone who lives here loves it as much as I do. Personally, I come from a family of service, military and law enforcement. Professionally, I have 4 decades of executive and leadership experience in the private sector and with nonprofit organizations. I also lobbied for 3 decades for a number of organizations, so I know how to do policy, I know how to do advocacy. In the last 4 years, it's been an honor of a lifetime to serve as your commissioner and 2 years as deputy mayor. I've been in the office every day. I know the work, I know what needs to be done, and I'll hit the ground running.
Okay, Dave?
I'm Dave Piepkorn, born and raised in Fargo. I graduated from Fargo North. I graduated from NDSU. I played football there. I was drafted in the 5th round in 1984 by the Cleveland Browns. I've been a small business owner since that. I was done playing football. I've been a commissioner for 16 years. I've been the liaison commissioner for almost every department other than fire. Actually, I have been for every department. I have a lot of experience in leadership. I'm not a very good politician. I tell the truth, and I love what I do, and I love this town. And we have some serious problems across the board in leadership, lack of communication, and so we definitely need to change the path that we're on. Our debt is, at least $1.5 billion. We've got a Moody's downgrade. We have staff giving away crack pipes without our permission. We've given away 3 million heroin needles in Fargo. Things like that are just ruining our city. And so if we don't change the path, we will continue this direction of downward spiral. The main concern most people have is property taxes, and I will reduce our property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sekou?
I'm Sekou, Sirleaf, and it's good to be back on stage with all these wonderful people again. I'm a son of a farmer, grew up and then became a preacher. I also love competitive sport, and so I coach as a competitive coach for youth soccer here in Fargo with Tri-City. Fargo is a growing city. Fargo is a very wonderful place that so many of us call home, and we want to keep it that way, keep the city growing in leaps and bounds. And so, but growth must be responsible. So I'm here to bring responsible leadership to City Hall. I'm here so that we promote safe streets in Fargo, affordable housing, and service and community for develop programs for our seniors and veterans who have given everything for this country and the city, but also develop programs for our young people who we consider to be the leaders of the future. We need to bring them closer. We need to see them, hear them, and value them, and give them opportunity to start to prepare to lead from day one, and that's something that is lacking. I'm coming with responsible leadership. I think City Hall has been so tune deaf, and we need responsible leadership that listens first and decide later.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Thank you. My name is Michelle Turnberg, and I am happy to be running for Fargo mayor because I love this city. I've lived here for more than 35 years, and I believe Fargo is at a crossroads. For too long, City Hall has been focused on the wrong things. Families are facing the rising costs of household goods, property taxes, assessments, concerns about public safety, and a city that's carrying more than $1.3 billion in debt. This election is critical, and I believe that the city and its residents deserve leadership that will make change and make our city great.
All right, time to get into questions. And we'll start alphabetically here. So Josh, you'll go first on this question. What is Fargo's biggest strength, and what is Fargo's biggest problem?
Well, actually, I think it's the same answer. It's our growth and the desire for people to call Fargo home. We have seen that the growth has been a nice steady growth of approximately 2% year over year in terms of our population. But with that, our ability to keep up with growth in terms of affordable housing, a lot of the significant conversations that have been happening recently is about what should our growth look like, both infill and as we grow greenfields. I think our challenge with that growth is that the current commission hasn't been using its own tools in terms of the strategic growth plan, the housing study that was done by MetroCog, to help guide that growth, to set a vision for how we're going to do that. And we saw that on stage just the other day in a commission meeting in which they are struggling now with what does that growth look like and whether we should or shouldn't grow at a time where we only have about 100 lots for sale in all the city of Fargo. That limited supply is driving up costs. So without having a clear plan and the ability to move forward with our developers and our affordable housing builders, we are going to continue to increase the cost just by our regulation and our lack of a vision.
Very good. Denise.
I think our biggest opportunity, number one, I do believe Fargo has been run well. I think we have some certainly challenges, which I'll get to in a second. But the reason Fargo's been run well is because of the people who serve Fargo and work for Fargo. And that includes public safety, but every other division. And I mean it when I say I truly believe our employees are our number one asset. And so how we continue to leverage their insight, their expertise, and make sure the entire cabinet's at the table is a real opportunity for us as we think strategically for future growth. I think our challenge is growth right now. Number one, with a 3% cap on our budget, the revenues are going to be more constrained and need to be as stewards of the taxpayer dollar. But how we manage that is how we're going to utilize the growth plan that has been very active and underway for a number of months, the associated land development code, and how we approach budgeting in the future under those constraints will be very important.
Okay, very good. Dave?
Our biggest strength is our people, our citizens of Fargo. One of our advantages, our demographics are we're much higher educated than across America, and we're also much younger than the demographics of other cities our size. One of the main advantages we have as a city is our education. We have 3 universities and obviously the tech schools that are bringing in new people every year. And so we have a huge advantage. We want to keep as many as want to stay here, but that's our main thing. Our challenges are we are overspending. Our government has been nonstop overspending, and so we've had to raise property taxes well beyond the interest or the rate of increase compared to everything else. And so when your government is overtaxing you, what we're doing is taxing people out of their houses, especially on fixed incomes. And so that's a serious issue. And like I said, I will propose cutting the mill by 1 mil. That will be June 10th. I will be doing that. And if I cut that and utilities, that reduces everyone's housing costs. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sekou.
Thank you. I will answer the question, but let me start like this. You know, when I listen to Denise says, Fargo has been ran well, it sounds hilarious to me. For the fact that we are 5 here running for city mayor tells us the city has not been ran well. I know city that has been run well, West Fargo. That's why there's only one candidate in the race for mayor, because everybody feels they're doing a good job. For the fact you have 3 current city commissioners standing up here running for one position tells you they don't even agree together. So they've not been running well, and Michelle confirmed that in her opener. She said, City Hall is focused on the wrong things. That's why you're in the commission. So if City Hall's focused on the wrong thing, then what's their job on the city commission? So what's our strength? Our strength is community. Fargo is a city of community. It's a city of family and faith, and that I believe in that. And also, this 2% steady growth is a good thing for the city. However, because the question was too, what's our strength, what's our weakness? The weakness is City Hall is tune deaf, and you can see that from the 3 acting commissioners here on the stage tonight.
Okay, thank you. Michelle.
Thank you. Well, I believe, first of all, you need to know how city business is run and how voting is run and how majority and minority votes are cast. That is a big difference, and that's something that you need to know as a city leader. Our strength is people want to live here, families want to raise children here, and it's a beautiful place to live. Our census shows that people keep moving here, another 1,000 people or more over the last year. Our weakness has been bad leadership and too many liberal ideas and uncontrolled spending for far too long. We cannot afford to stay the course, and I will fix that by making life more affordable and safer.
Next question, Denise, you get this one.
Can I get a rebuttal?
Any challenges?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Can I get a rebuttal?
You have 2 challenges if you'd like to challenge what somebody said.
Yes.
You can't just make another statement, but if you want to direct a challenge towards something
I
someone...
want to direct a challenge to Michelle.
You are, certainly go ahead. You have 15 seconds to make your case.
Michelle is complaining about bad leadership. Fargo, you need to listen. This is a city commissioner that was elected to serve you. She's not running for mayor and telling you that there's bad leadership at City Hall. That means you cannot elect her because she's part of the leadership. She's part of the bad leadership. Do not elect Michelle Turnberg as mayor.
Michelle, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I met with you, Sirleaf, and asked you what is the mission statement, what is the purpose of the Human Rights Commission, which you chair. You could not come up with an answer to that. I have watched you repeatedly be unable to run meetings, so for you to tell me that I am not electable for mayor is laughable.
I'm not telling you. You said the leadership is
Sekou, I'm sorry, you're not able to respond to that.
Sorry.
Michelle, you've got about 5 seconds left if you'd like to use it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other challenges?
All right, Denise is next with our next question. The city's carrying a debt burden of over $1 billion. How serious is the problem, and what specifically can be done about it?
So the facts matter here, and the reality is any growing city, and a city our size, carries debt. It's how you manage and how responsible you are with that debt. And Fargo has done a really good job of being responsible in how we manage that debt. I like this analogy. When you buy a house, you don't go to the bank and drop $350,000 on the table to buy a house. You borrow the money because you know that you have income over time to pay for that house. You know how you're going to pay your other expenses, and you know when the payoff date is, and you manage your expenses, and that's exactly what Fargo has been doing. And so the city every year, and this is also a misconception, has to submit a balanced budget, and we have. Every year we've submitted a balanced budget, and it's a responsibility of the commission and the mayor and the staff. And I think the debt, yes, we have a plan. We know how we're paying it back. We know every source of revenue for every one of those 5 buckets, and we've been responsible.
Thank you. Dave?
So we have a serious problem, and we had a Moody's warning 2 years ago, and then we had a Moody's downgrade this last year. And our response with our current leadership is we kept on spending. And we'll keep on spending if you elect a Democrat, liberal. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure out liberals are going to spend more money. If you elect me, I'm going to spend less money. That's what we have to do. That's what you have to start. Because if we don't address this debt, it's growing and growing. And what happens is we pay more interest. So it costs us more. We have the other thing that's tied to this is our specials. We need to reform our special assessments with new developments. The developers are not happy about this, but it has to happen because right now the citizens are the bank, and we are taking an enormous risk that we should not be taking. Thank you.
Thank you. Sekou?
Thank you. You know, I came to this debate tonight prepared, knowing that this is the last debate, and I'm not going to let anything slide. So when you hear Dave talk about when you elect Democrats, I'm not a Democrat, then everything's going to go south. Dave, you've been 16 years in city council. What have you done to defray this debt? What have you done to alleviate the suffering and the pain of the people of Fargo? You can't be running for mayor and complaining about problems you were elected to solve. That is a definition of failure, and that's why all of us are up here. Now, the debt is a serious issue, but we have to understand that Fargo is a growing city. Every growing city, including the United States, even though 250 years will be celebrated, we are indebted to trillions of dollars. So the city will incur debt as we manage the growth. What we do is to take responsible steps to defer that cost in incremental steps by bringing professionals together to guide us on how, what process, what steps we can take to manage those debt. That's what we need to be doing. We will always have debt as a city because we are growing. But thank you.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Well, first of all, when you buy a house, you go buy a house that you can afford, and you don't buy a house that is too much money and unattainable with your current family household budget. We need to focus the city of Fargo on our needs versus our wants. We have been spending recklessly for years. I have voted against many of these spending sprees, which continue to go on to this day, and we need to focus on core city services. And when I say that, a core city service is something that a citizen cannot provide for themselves. That is police protection, that is fire protection, that is the water that comes out of your kitchen sink, that is your toilets that flush, that is safe roads to drive on, that is utilities. we stop doing all of these special projects, these political trends, these social services, and we focus on the service of Fargo residents and doing that great.
Thank you. And finally, Josh?
Yes, I think it's important we have the conversation about the debt, and that's come forward as part of this campaign. And one thing that we need to make sure the city is doing is communicating to the public things like why we borrow money and how we borrow it and pay it back. And unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, the city has put out a great one-pager explaining those different buckets to the public about how things are paid for and what they're paid for. Much of that debt is to core services. It's for the water infrastructure and the wastewater treatment center, which now the city is actually able to create a revenue source because we are regionalizing that in partnership with communities across the metro, and I hope that continues. The area that we can and should focus on as we move forward with the budget is how do we manage the growth in that debt, making sure that we're focusing on minimizing that. And one way we can do that is how we forecast growth in this city. I think it's unfortunate that we went and bonded and borrowed money to build a fire station on 64th Avenue South at the same time that police need a substation, we need garages for snowplows, and none of those ancillary services were built in partnership. So we're building isolations and silos across this community when we should look at how does the city work together when we build out those services.
Okay. Thank you. Any challenges? And we remind you, you have two throughout the whole debate. Sirleaf, you used one of your challenges already.
Thank you.
Denise?
Yeah, I would like to challenge Commissioner Piepkorn. You pointed my direction when you said liberals, so I want to make it very clear I am nonpartisan. This job is nonpartisan. I've been independent my entire life. But my question for you, Commissioner, is in the 4 years I've served with you, I'd like to know what cuts you brought forward in the budget that you were responsible for, because I haven't seen any.
That's an excellent question. So what happens, maybe you're not familiar with how the budget is created, but the mayor proposes the budget and then we vote on it. And so all the departments that I'm in, we try to reduce spending, try to be efficient. I have voted against the budgets, and please feel free to look back at my record. One of the other candidates asked me what I did. I'm a fiscal conservative, and for 16 years, that's how I vote, as a fiscal conservative. I try to spend our money wisely, like it was my own money. So that's what and to imply, I didn't mean to imply you specifically are a woke liberal Democrat. I was just making a motion with my hand. If you assume that I'm meaning you, that's up to you. Thank you.
Any other challenges? Okay, then on to the next question. Dave, you get this question first. Many Fargo residents feel the city has grown too large and spends too much. What are some specific examples of things you would cut without damaging those essential services?
A lot of them are the social services. To give you an example, we are just opening a brand new vagrant center that is underfunded. We're closing the Downtown Engagement Center, which will be fantastic. But supposedly we're going to build a new one that we don't have money for. And so it's just having the groundbreaking, I believe, today or tomorrow. But imagine that, opening a building that we're going to rent, but we're also going to spend $1.5 million fitting it up. It's not our building. And then in 2 years, we're going to move out of it. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard of, using public tax money to do that. Then on top of that, this will be a magnet to draw vagrants from around the region, which will be paid for by the taxpayers of Fargo. Thank you.
Okay. Sekou.
I don't think growth is a threat to our existence here in Fargo. Growth is a good thing. So if the city is growing too much, it's good. It's good for everybody. It's good for businesses. It's good for families. It's good for everything happening in the city. My only concern is that the growth should be managed responsibly so that we keep down our debt. We focus our budget so that we spend top dollars behind things that matter to the residents of Fargo, things that benefit, that heavily impact the socio-economic lives of the residents of Fargo. I think that is what we are not doing, and we're trying to make it look like growth is our problem. Growth is not our problem. Growth is our advantage. The problem is City Hall is not managing growth responsibly, and that's why the people are feeling the pain. When I come in, I'm going to come in with that responsible management. I'm coming in with discipline. I'm coming with transparency, so that as residents of Fargo know exactly what it is we are doing. We manage our growth, we manage our budget, we keep our budgets focused and targeted beyond things that are essential.
Specific example of something you would cut was the question.
Specifically or something, for what I would have cut, which has already passed, is this this convention center. I think it was a wasted opportunity. If I come in, I still have to review that. Even though it's been voted upon,
Okay.
we got to review that.
You try to somehow limit on the convention center. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification. Michelle, a question back to you about what's an example of something you cut.
Well, I believe growth is wonderful, and I've won presidential awards for growth in my territories in sales nationally and managing multi-million-dollar territories. But I would cut anything that is not a core city service. We have almost 2,000 nonprofits in Fargo alone. That is not even including the entire metro area. We can work together with those nonprofits and help each other, but that does not mean that we need to fund them. I was also told today that we are now even busing people from the new Resource and Recovery Center back to downtown, which is absolutely ridiculous because that was never voted on, that was never approved, and I don't know where the money is coming from. So news to me, but that is something I would cut, and anything that is not a core city service.
Thank you. Josh, back to you for this one.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge we have with our budget is, again, the commission continues to do a year-by-year basis instead of looking at how growth is going to impact our budget over the long term. If anyone were to go watch any of the recent or even last year's finance committee meetings, you won't see any conversations about our budget projections for the next year or the year following based on growth. We need to look forward to see how we can make decisions currently so that we're not growing the budget beyond what that growth will allow. In terms of specific things that I would cut, at this point I don't have an answer because I trust the people in City Hall to make those decisions. Our job as a city commission and the mayor would be to set a budget and work backwards from there. We continue to see that there are silos in how the budget process works within departments. And because of the emergency currently of having to limit the budget, we're actually starting to see departments talk to each other much better, talking about how do they share resources, whether it's IT, whether it's staff, whether it's personnel. And I think that's a fair and good exercise for us to find efficiencies.
Okay. Denise.
Yeah, making cuts starts with the process, and the process should be the entire cabinet at weekly meetings. It would become the most important meeting of the week. It's called the mayor's cabinet meeting. That's the director of every single department coming forward with their ideas every budgeting cycle of where can we find efficiencies, where can those cuts be across all departments, what can we study for the next budget cycle. But it's all got to be, and I've asked for this for the last 3 years, from a strategy that is forecast, that includes an associated personnel 5-year plan and an associated capital plan with a clear list of strategic priorities, and that has been missing. Been asking for it. That's the first thing I would get working on. We're in the middle of a budget cycle right now, and that's the mayor's responsibility to drive that process.
A specific item you'd cut?
It would be up to what the staff brings back for those recommendations for efficiencies, but I do know one area we need to look at, and this came in play at the last budget cycle, was our information systems. Our information technology department every year has been meeting demands and requests, but we haven't really looked at optimization and efficiencies in that department.
So maybe something there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any challenges to anything that was said during that round of answers? Okay, thank you.
All right, Sekou, you're up first. Fargo has been wrestling with a homeless problem for several years, especially downtown. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how would you rate the city's performance in addressing homelessness, and why do you give it that score?
I would rate it at a good 3, because I think some attempts have been made to address the situation, but it's been dismal. And the reason that is because the people I stand on the stage with who work at the city commission, who are current city commissioners, they don't see these people as human beings. They see these people as pawns. When you see human beings as human beings, you will do everything to help, because some of the people struggling with those homelessness, some of them are family members, some of them are friends, some of them could be co-workers, they could be neighbors. The fact of the matter is we're not even looking at the homelessness holistically. We're just looking at people that are on the street corners. There are people that are homeless that are living with relatives and friends. There are people that are homeless that are spending top dollars in hotels. There are professional people that are homeless. We have to deal with certain things when it comes to tenants' rights, landlords, tenants' issues in the city. I know wonderful people in the city who do good jobs, who are professional people, and nobody will rent to them because a landlord wrote something in their record which he was not supposed to do, but he did. And so people are not homeless just because they're lazy or they're on drugs.
Okay. All right. Michelle, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. How do you rate the city's performance in addressing homelessness, and why do you give it that score?
I would give it a 1. I believe the problem with the city is everyone is so worried about perception, and we do not have a homeless problem. We have a drug addiction and a mental illness problem. We voted on Tuesday at the City Commission meeting to build a beautiful, brand new, affordable housing complex that will help house many, many people within the city, and that goes from people with 0 income to with housing credits. So that's incredible. I would stop handing out more than 3 million needles to drug addicts and keep enabling them. The 7,000 crack pipes. We eliminated camping. We had camping that was so entitled. We had campsites set up with fencing around them and a do not trespass sign on city property. That also cost us tens of thousands of dollars to clean up. So rather than being tough, we just let things slide.
All right, thank you. And if any of you need the question repeated, just ask. Otherwise, Josh?
Thank you. I'd rate us a 4. I think the city could certainly do a better job of being a leader and a partner in addressing housing. I don't think it's necessarily the role of the city to provide housing. We find ourselves in the current position because, again, there were plans in place many years ago, a 10-year plan to end homelessness in partnership with the FM Coalition to end homelessness. And those plans are put on shelves. And instead of the city being a partner and providing leadership to support the nonprofits and the private sector that's doing this work, bringing the business community together to help us raise funds for the resources needed within those nonprofits, we've limited ourselves. Now we find ourselves in this crisis. Not one of the conversations around about the Resource and Referral Center has been about how do we house more people. It's been a focus about a site. It's been a focus about what needs to be downtown or not downtown. And instead, if we start focusing on how do we make sure people get housed and supported in their housing in partnership with those nonprofits, that's when we'll start seeing success.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, I would give it a 4 as well. I think the city needs to do a better job of being at the table with the right folks that are talking about this issue, and it includes the organizations that are working together both here and in Moorhead on trying to solve for this problem at the core issues, including things like a master lease agreement working with United Way and the Coalition to End Homelessness, and some other programs that seem to have recently been stalled. But it's also about having regular and at least quarterly meetings with our area legislators and our federal delegation, because this is a regional issue and it's going to require more resources than locally we have. And we have to be more intentional about building those relationships, leveraging those relationships, and finding solutions together to what is a very complex problem.
Thank you. And Dave?
I would give it a 1. The Downtown Engagement Center has been a disaster. It has emptied out our downtown. The apartments are empty, the stores are empty, the customers are afraid to go downtown, and so it's been a disaster. And what we have to do is stop enabling. The other thing that we've done is the city of Fargo has become the source for homeless care. What other city has that on their budget? No other city does that. This should all be on nonprofits. We should be helping, but we certainly, if you added up the amount of employees that the city of Fargo has that are working on homeless, it's astounding. What we have to do is, if you have a drug addiction problem, refer them to a drug. If they want to get help, have them get help. If they have a mental health problem, if they want to get help, have them get help. But we are going to be stopping enabling. And what's happened was, during COVID, the federal government gave us lots of money for the engagement center. I warned you about this, and what happened was the money ran out, and it's still here, as are all the problems. And the taxpayers of Fargo are paying for it all.
Thank you. Anybody want to challenge anything?
Okay. Next question. Michelle, you'll go first on this one. Crime and public safety is the #1 concern for many Fargo residents and visitors. What more can be done to make the city safe?
We are absolutely at a wonderful time in the city of Fargo with our change in police leadership. We had a disastrous administration for many years, and with the retirement of the former chief, we now have our new chief in office, and people are already telling me that they can see changes within the city. I've noticed more police presence already. I've spoken with downtown shop owners who have had very scary encounters with people and harassment, who have also felt that the response time, that the help is much better, and just so much more police presence. So I think that is fabulous. As mayor, I would also beef up our police force. Our current chief says we need to be at 1.6 officers per 1,000. We are at 1.4. That means 25 more officers. That means cutting non-essential services and focusing on public safety.
Okay, thank you. Josh.
You know, I've had the opportunity as part of the campaign to host listening sessions. I'm actually the only candidate that's had public listening sessions in which folks can engage with me as a candidate in regards to their concerns. And we've talked about public safety. And when I ask folks about what does it mean to be safe in your neighborhood or in your home, a lot of times that conversation has actually shifted to traffic. We certainly have concerns about certain areas of town, such as downtown, but out here in South Fargo, people are concerned about traffic, speeding, drag racing, things like that. But what we need to do is make sure that we're looking at different parts of the city, looking at the needs, and we do that through community policing. We do that by making sure that our law enforcement continues the engagement that they started in the last 6 months, where they're doing regular beat conversations, building relationships with neighborhoods, with community groups in those neighborhoods, and help us focus on prevention. We're a fairly safe city. The data has showed us that, but people do not feel safe. So we need to continue to build those relationships and communicate with folks in their neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you. Denise.
Yeah, and I've had the opportunity to attend those public beat meetings and listen to the residents and talk to the chief and the leadership teams of each of those 5 beats. And there clearly is a perception here that Fargo isn't as safe as the numbers demonstrate, but perception is reality. We've already seen a change with the naming of Chief Stefanowicz as our new police chief. His focus on building relationships with our sister cities, with other agencies, including the state's attorney and the sheriff's department, are going to be critical and vital as we address these issues that go across city boundaries. And then the last thing is we need to do better as a city about how we communicate the facts to the public through, and I've proposed this before, it didn't pass, but I would have quarterly community forums on topics including safety, where we would get the facts out and listen to the people for that feedback.
Okay. Thank you, Denise. Dave?
So obviously having a new chief is great. If you recall 4 years ago, Chief Cebulski has been a disaster since the start. There's only one person up here that demanded that he resign 4 years ago. That was me. And the other thing you have to do is elect a mayor that's not soft on crime. Because if you have a good chief, but if you have leadership that's soft on crime, which we've had for the past 20 years, that impacts what the police does. And so it's very important. There's a whole laundry list of things that we can do. The chief has started some things. Some of them the city commission do, some the legislature can do. These are all things we have to work on together, but to say that the downtown is safe is laughable. To say that the statistics show that it's safe, no one believes that. If they believed it, they'd go downtown. That's why the stores are closed. That's why jobs have been lost. It's probably the #1 issue other than our debt. Public safety and our debt. And if we don't do something, it's going to be a continued downward spiral.
Dave, I'm sorry I missed your answer, but what can be done to make the city safe? What do you do about it as mayor?
To give you an example, well, first of all, the Downtown Engagement Center closing, that's great. But there's a whole laundry list of things. One is we don't have a drunk tank. When people are intoxicated, the police don't have a place to bring them. That was what the Gladys Ray shelter was supposed to be, and now it's turned into an enabling center.
So that's one example of what you would
yes, having a place for the police, when you're intoxicated, a place other than jail for them to be taken.
Thank you. Yep. Thanks for clarifying that. Sekou.
Hey, let me begin this way, Josh. You're not the only person who's been hosting listening session. I've been hosting a listening session in hotels and community centers and churches. So let's get that fact straight. But all these after the fact answers that are coming are all laughable. Everybody's now trying to blame Chief Cebulski. He was this, he was that. You hired him. You could have fired him. You did not. He retired with full benefits. So to come here now to say, oh, he didn't do X, Y, Z, it's on you. You were in the city. You are the city commissioners. But here are things we can do to improve safety in our city. When I'm elected mayor, I want to meet with the police chief. I want to meet with officers. I want to meet with neighborhood leaders, schools leaders, community partners, and identify safety concerns in any area. We want to support and strengthen staffing at the police of all police officers. We want to expand community policing so that police officers are known in the community that they police by name, and those officers can also know residents by name. We can require regular public safety updates so that residents know exactly what is working and where improvement needs to be done. We can't just be playing lip service to some of these issues. Public safety is all of our concerns.
Okay. Would anyone like to challenge anything that's been said here in this round of answers? Okay, thank you.
All right, Josh, you're up first. Is there a leader in any walk of life who you respect and might try to emulate in your public service? Could be a faith leader, business leader, political leader, or someone else. Who might you identify with and why?
That's a good question. First person that comes to mind would be my godmother, Marguerite Samuel. She lived here in Fargo for many years, was a woman who carried her faith and led with her faith, and specifically justice, taking care of folks. Instilled in me within my faith life as a Catholic of that our duty is to serve and to take care of our neighbors around us. And that really was some of the impetus of me going into public service, was how can I do better and leave the community I live in better than when I found it. And so while almost all your listeners probably don't even know who Marguerite Samuel is, that is who I think of first when I think of who I emulate and who I would like to look up to.
Certainly. All right. Denise?
Yeah, mine is a couple, Louise and Bernie Dardis. I don't know if that's allowable, but for different reasons. Bernie has been a mentor to me as mayor of West Fargo, but just watching him in his community show up at everything. There's oftentimes we are together at almost every community event that includes Fargo, West Fargo. And I've learned so much about his approach, his relationship building, his demeanor. He's rarely rattled, and his homework. And I do the same thing. I really try to do my homework for every meeting and every event. And Louise and I served on several community boards together. She's just a rock star in her community and in North Dakota, the things she's accomplished. And so I've learned both. I've learned a lot from both of them. They just happen to be married.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Dave?
Mine would be Norm Jones. He was my mentor. Actually, he just passed away this year. Just an awesome guy. So he founded Metropolitan Federal Savings and Loan a long time ago, and he was the most humble man, very successful. Anyway, Metropolitan grew and then sold out to U.S. Bank. But there's a lot of people in the world that try to impress you with their wealth or their power, and he was the exact opposite. He could have been that way, and the way he treated everybody from the highest to the lowest was a great example to me. And so I was just so fortunate. I learned a lot from him. I'll never measure up to his standards, but the one funny thing was when he first started his business, the savings and loan, they were mocked because it was like the JV of banking. And the funny thing was he ended up financing most of the bank buildings in downtown Fargo. So I thought that was kind of cool. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Sirleaf?
I have so many leaders I admire, and those will be leaders within the local communities, all the different community leaders that are doing so much for their communities with limited or no resources at times, trying to make sure they handle problems in their community. When these issues come up, they call people to the table to sit down and discuss. I think those are the things City Hall should be doing that they are not doing. Lately, and this might raise eyebrows, somebody I started to admire, it's Zora Madani in New York. He's the first person today that has made history to balance the books in New York, something that people said could never be done. It has been done, over $12 billion without adding to the debt, without taxing the people of New York. He was able to balance that book that no natural-born U.S. citizen has been able to do. So that is why immigrants also got things that they bring to the table, and that's why you got to take me serious and listen to me and let us work together to make Fargo a better place.
Thank you. Michelle?
I would say the first thing that comes to my mind are my parents, and especially my mother, who is a tremendous leader in my hometown. People seem to think that I am wealthier than I am, but I grew up in a trailer park and rented farmhouses until my parents worked hard enough built their own home and built their own individual wealth over the years, and taught me how to work hard and how to impart that same work ethic onto my children. In politics right now, I would say I'm extremely impressed with Senator John Fetterman. It's amazing to me how he is able to stand up for what is better for the aggregate good and step across party lines and actually help try and get something done. So to me, that is very impressive.
Thank you. Anybody want to challenge anybody's answers? I didn't think so, but I thought I'd check.
All right, next question. Denise, you'll go first on this one. Downtown Fargo has a perception problem. Many residents say they don't feel safe there and businesses are feeling it. What specifically would you do to change that perception problem?
Again, this is very similar to my former answer on what we're seeing with safety. But our new police chief already has taken a different approach here. You're already seeing more police presence downtown, which is easing the minds. I also have met with several and actually text with several regularly downtown businesses, and they are seeing a difference already. So continued community conversation, how we strengthen and build the relationship with the Downtown Community Partnership, who's very active downtown and has some really solid ideas about what we're going to do to change and work on perception and address the real issues as they happen. The last thing is we have passed some ordinances in the last 4 years that address some behaviors downtown. We need to continue to enforce those ordinances and continually look at our ordinances if there are behaviors that we're not addressing.
Okay. Thank you. Dave?
So actually that is true. Actually, we eliminated some of the panhandling and loitering ordinances. We just eliminated them and then we didn't do anything. And so it's not a perception, it's reality. I just had the Diversion Authority meeting at 3:30. There's probably 6 people drunk in front of City Hall, passed out under the trees. That's not a perception, I saw them. When I go downtown, I can't open a door without being panhandled. That's not a perception, that's reality. So to say, oh, you're just misunderstanding. No, people know, and people aren't going downtown, and people won't go downtown until we make it clean and safe. That's the bottom line. This whole thing, well, the statistics, no, they're not true, because people can see what's going on. And if we don't change it, once again, you have to be tough on crime. Some of these people at this dais are not going to be tough on crime. I will. Thank you.
Okay. Sekou.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm looking at perception versus exaggeration. I think the perception is there, but I think some politicians are exploiting that perception for their own advantage by exaggerating this perception that, hey, if you go downtown, once I open the door, I'm panhandle. I've been downtown for more than 10 years. I've never been panhandle. I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm not going to dismiss anybody's concern. But sometimes we exaggerate some of these perceptions. So I want us to have routine evaluation of what's happening downtown. I want us to meet with those business leaders downtown. What can we do to strengthen awareness? What can we do to strengthen collaboration downtown so that we can have periodic reviews and see what's working, what's not working, which area these things are happening, and how can we, what can we do to mitigate that, to reduce some of these occurrences? Those are things we have to do. Let's bring people together. If we have to do more CCTV on poles and buildings to watch what's happening, those are all good ideas that we can explore.
Very good. Michelle?
You're asking if there is a perception that there is trouble in downtown Fargo. That is not a perception, that is reality. And as far as public listening sessions, I have those every week with people. And yesterday I had the opportunity to meet with 3 different business leaders downtown, and one pulled into her parking space where someone was passed out asleep. She tried to park. He got up and threw rocks at her car. She then tried to call the police and was able to get some reaction quite quickly. So another has had several people walk into her store, steal from them, and what will change is we will be tough on crime. I talk with Chief Stefanowicz all the time. We have ongoing discussions on how to handle this, and we will be following all ordinance, enforcing them, and making sure people know that Fargo is not a city where you can get away with bad behavior.
Thank you. And Josh?
You know, a lot of the conversation has been about talking to the people who are already downtown. I think we have to have a better conversation with people across the community and Metro to ask what would they like to see and what would make Fargo downtown specifically feel more safe to them. We know when there are community events, whether it's the St. Patrick's Day Parade, a cocoa crawl in February, the farmers market on Saturday mornings, people flood downtown. So people are willing to come down if there are activities and things that they can engage in. Now, whether people choose to go downtown on their own free time to just shop or to eat, that is another thing, and I think we have to have those conversations with folks to understand more about their concerns about whether it's about safety, whether it's about options, whether it's about whether they can bring their kids or family downtown. Those are real concerns people have, and I think the more we talk about that and actually work with our downtown business community to go and listen to folks about that, there's a lot of places of town I don't go to spend my free time. I actually spend most of my free time downtown, living just north of downtown. So my comfort level is different than many others, and that's not to say that their perception isn't valid. It's just a matter of we have to have those conversations, find out what would bring people downtown.
Okay. Would anyone like to challenge anything said in that last round of answers?
Sure, I would. Josh, where is your district?
District 44, it goes from Main Avenue to 28th Avenue North.
Including downtown?
Yep.
Yes. So where has the biggest problem in Fargo been recently? And then why haven't you fixed it with your time in the legislature?
Well, it's not the role of the legislature to fix downtown Fargo.
Isn't that the people you're representing?
What I can tell you I have done is I've secured
Yep.
$10 million to address housing affordability for crisis housing in our community. I've supported funding to make sure that we have behavioral health services and recovery services.
Crime.
I've supported law enforcement and some of the expansion of some of our legislation. You know, Commissioner Piepkorn talked about the fact that we've tried to get things passed in Bismarck. Things like drag racing is a Fargo issue, and we can't get legislators on board throughout the state to help us support some of those things. We need to build better relationships across the state so we can get those things addressed. But I've delivered for my neighborhood. I can't solve homelessness by myself. That continues to fall on your doorstep where you haven't been able to get anything done.
Any other challenges for this question? Okay.
All right, Dave, you're up next. Economic development, attracting businesses, retaining businesses, and growing the tax base should be a mayor's priority. What is your vision for the business community?
It's a critical thing, economic development, but it's been so vilified by especially some of the candidates for commission. We're going to have to reform the whole thing because right now it is dead in the water. I'm the chair of the Economic Development EDIC for the City of Fargo. And right now we have to go through the school board, the Cass County Commission, and they even voted against low-income housing. And so right now, what happens if this continues, we're in competition around the country and around the world. And big businesses, if they see, wow, you're anti-economic development and TIFs and pilots, we're off the list. And that's where we are right now. And so it isn't an immediate impact, but over the years, this will be a huge damage. What happens, we've tracked it, it's about 5 to 8 mills are our economic development money that's come in that reduces our property mill levy. So it's been a politically popular thing to blow it up and criticize it, but the long term is we need to reform it, and if we don't do something, it's going to have tremendous damage for years to come.
Thank you. Sekou?
I think solving problems, the first thing is identification. We have to identify problems and then categorize these problems, know what the rate of, what the percentages of this problem, how it affects the people. These are some steps we can take to solve problems. I think when it comes to the business development, the economic development in Fargo, we're not studying the data, we're not following some of these things. I think small businesses are the mainstay of any economy, not just the big developers and big corporations. We need to reach out to these business leaders. One of the things that Sekou did when it came to banning flavored nicotine, they just went and decided to pass a proposal to ban businesses without even talking to these business leaders and ask them, hey, how things are being done. They never did that because that is City Hall's problem. Tune deaf, make decision first, ask question later, talk to people later. That is the problem. When I'm elected mayor, is to bring people to the table and understand from this business leader what are your challenges, how can we help you to grow? How can we make Fargo an enabling environment where businesses can thrive?
Thank you. Michelle?
Well, nothing has been decided with the flavored nicotine proposal as of yet, so that is not true. But the Economic Development Committee is vital to our city. I had a wonderful meeting with them yesterday in discussing how, as mayor, I can work with them and help them bring in more businesses, and identifying the businesses that produce good employees, draw good employees for good paying jobs is so important, and that helps with the growth of our city. It helps with housing. It helps with bringing in more revenue. It helps with so many different things. So the EDC is a very important role. I will absolutely support them. I do believe that some of the tax incentives have been abused over the years, and that has been a disgusting change to me, and we will make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Josh?
The primary goal of the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation is primary sector businesses. So, well over 95% of the businesses in our community are small businesses. They wouldn't fall under the support of an entity like that, or even some of the incentives that we talk about at the city level. What we can do is continue the work of supporting organizations like the Small Business Association, Emerging Prairie, other groups that are helping small businesses start up and continue to be successful throughout our community. Now that I don't think is a role of the city to put into our budget, but there are things we can do in partnership with advocating for additional funding from the state or the federal government to assist those small businesses, especially by talking to small businesses about the reality of business. We know that consumer behavior has changed and continues to evolve, which impacts whether retail stores are able to be successful or not. There are things, changing behaviors around how people eat or deliver their food, so we see that restaurants are getting smaller as far as a footprint. So how do we as a city work in partnership with those small businesses to project our future and what that looks like so we can continue to be healthy and vibrant?
Thank you. And Denise?
Sure. I was proud to serve on the Economic Development Board for 7 years. In fact, was in line to be chair of the Economic Development Commission, and have been very active as well in the chamber. And both of those organizations focus, yes, on primary sector businesses, but also have a collaboration and a synergy that needs to happen to support all business economically and bring new business into our community, including addressing the workforce issue. And both the Chamber and the EDC have programs that are focused on that. So that's step one, is what is the city's relationship at the table to work with those two organizations to support the strategic priorities that as a region are important to us all, as well as good working relationships with our sister cities, because again, there's no boundaries with cities. The last thing I'll say is we are currently under review of looking at all of our incentives. I think it's important for people to know that there has been a 40-to-1 return on those incentives overall, so they have been impactful and effective in bringing more property tax and taxes to the city. But right now, with the changes we're going to see with the growth plan and the land development code, we're taking a look at all incentives.
Thank you. Anybody want to challenge anything?
Reminder on challenges, you have 15 seconds to articulate your challenge, and then 30 seconds for the person who responds. So you get 15, they get 30, and if we keep some clean lines there, it'll help us out.
So if you were referenced and you want to respond to that, does that count to your 2 rebuttals?
Again, if you want to challenge something someone else said, you can use one of your challenges to say, I want to challenge you on that. You have 15 seconds to articulate that. They then, and you have to stop talking, and then they have 30 seconds where they can respond to that, and then you have to stop talking. So that's how that works.
And Josh and Dave both have 2 challenges. The rest of you have 1 left.
Okay. All right, let's maybe get one more question in here before our halftime break here. And Sekou, this question will go to you first. In recent months, the city has let go of its DEI director and made moves to potentially eliminate the Human Rights Commission. In light of that, what message do you have for Fargo's new Americans and immigrants?
Here's my message to Fargo new Americans and immigrants. I've been meeting with them one-on-one, and I've been challenging them on those nomenclature. We are Americans, and I told them never introduce yourself as new Americans. Whether somebody came here 250 years ago and you came here 10 years ago, you are still Americans. That the fact of the matter, apart from Native Americans everybody came here. So there's nothing like new American. Once you swear that oath to the United States of America, you are an American. So I hate those labels because those labels divide us. And I've been correcting my communities, never address yourself as a new Americans. You are an American. We all came here. We did not come here at the same time, but the fact is we all came here. So that is my message to them. Don't let anybody talk down to you. Don't let anybody drive a wedge between you to make you feel you are maybe a lesser American and they are more American. We are all Americans.
Thank you. Michelle.
As far as addressing DEI, that department was absolutely worthless in the city of Fargo. The person who was leading that was asked several times to provide proof of what he had accomplished and what he was doing and could never supply any sort of information, but was paid extremely well. Probably one other of the 1 million death by paper cuts that we have suffered in the city for a $1.3 billion debt. As far as the Human Rights Commission, like I said earlier, when asked, what is your mission statement? What is it that you hope to accomplish? The gentleman to my left could not answer that question in a private meeting. So I have not met a person who would be considered a new American who feels like they are being treated differently. The ones I have met at many functions, mostly political functions where women are gathering together, they are very successful businesswomen. They're very successful. So I see them as my equals and peers, and to me, I don't see why we need these different departments.
Thank you. Josh?
20% of Fargo are people of color. It's a growing demographic within our community and across this country. Some of the fastest growing businesses in our community are owned by immigrants and people of color. So I think us recognizing that that is one of our areas of growth and an opportunity to better serve our community, whether people immigrated here or they're born in other parts of the country or they're indigenous folks to our neighborhood, continuing that conversation to better understand the challenges they face in our community are going to be completely different than the challenges I face. And so when we continue that dialogue, and one of the mechanisms in which the city for the last 20 years has done that is through the Human Rights Commission. The challenge there is that advisory groups like the Human Rights Commission are not tapped into by city government. So whether that evolves or changes going forward is up to be determined. However, regardless of that, we need to make sure that we're continuing the conversation, engaging with community leaders in a thoughtful, respectful way so that Fargo continue to be a vibrant place for everyone to call home.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, the Human Rights Commission right now is on hold, and it was part of an effort to look at all boards and commissions as how do we support financially and staff-wise all of those boards and commissions, and a couple of them really found new evolution and new opportunity by that work. And so I still hope that the Human Rights Commission can land in a place where it's evolving and even more impactful than where it is today and where it has been. So that's my first point. I was part of the effort that kept asking for outcomes from the work of DEI. It had nothing to do with demographics. It was truly about what impact is this department having in the community. And without seeing those, that was a cut in a budget cycle because we couldn't see the results. But once that happened, I brought forward to the City Commission a new community integration coordinator position. Unfortunately, it failed 4-1. But it was a request from the Department of Health and Human Services to have North Dakota's largest city, Fargo, have that position and work with the new American community and integrating and providing resources and be that catalyst. And so hopefully as mayor, we can reconsider that request.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Well, we are all Fargoans. That's what we are. And to me, and discrimination is illegal. No matter who you are, we're all Fargoans. The Human Rights Commission, what we have to do is reform it and make it productive. And the city has to be a part of it, but we can't be the sponsor. And I voted in favor of the delay to get them to reform. The Native American Commission, that's what they did. They reformed, and now hopefully it'll be more productive. That's the main thing. You don't want to waste people's time. So I'm very optimistic that the Human Rights Commission will be more productive. That's the main thing. And going back to DEI, I voted against that from the beginning. It was not only, it started out at 200,000, but then we added another staff person. We added office space. It's just like any other bureaucrat. It just grew and grew and grew. And so that's what happened. They didn't accomplish one thing. And the sad thing is that damages that damages people. It damages the city of Fargo. It also damages the people that they're trying to help. And so I'm very supportive, and I'm optimistic of the future for the Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any challenges from that round of answers there? Okay. Seeing none, I will say you're listening to WDAY Fargo and WZFG Dilworth, and we are going to take a 4-minute break. And these good folks are going to sit down probably for a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with more of the second half of our Fargo mayoral debate when we come back on WDAY and WZFG The Flag.
North Dakota conservative leaders are backing Jill Kringston for public service.
At Olivet Lutheran Church on the corner of 13th Avenue and South University Drive, Fargo. Why build with Thor? Because post-frame construction means strength, speed, and savings. With fewer materials and faster build times, you get a cost-effective structure that stands up to strong winds and years of hard work. At Thor Buildings, they specialize in post-frame construction. They build better, build stronger, and build to last. Whether it's commercial or agricultural, the experts at Thor deliver quality at a price you can afford. Visit thorbuildings.com. That's thorbuildings.com. When it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor.
This is the Fargo Mayoral Debate on WDAY Radio and The Flag.
Welcome back. Let's get right back to it here. We still have plenty of questions left for our 5 mayoral candidates, and we again appreciate them being in here with us tonight and giving us a peek at their perspectives as they hope to lead the city of Fargo going forward. We are to the next question. Will go to Michelle. You will go first on this one. The state legislature, led by Governor Armstrong, mandated a 3% cap on annual municipal spending increases as part of its recent property tax plan. Do you think that was fair?
Well, my family, my household has to live within a budget. I think it's completely fair that the city should have to do the same. For too long, we have not been prioritizing our wants and needs. We've been doing all the wants and not just focusing on the needs, and that is what getting back to core city services will do. We absolutely need to do that and live within our means. And just as we have to do that within our own families and our own households, the city has to learn how to do that as well. And as mayor, I will make sure that happens.
Thank you. Josh?
I voted in favor of that bill because the other part of that bill came the $1,600 primary residence tax credit for folks. And the reason the legislature put that cap on local political subdivisions is because every other time we have passed on property tax relief to property owners, whether it's their home or their business, the locals have grabbed more money and continued to increase property tax. The legislature is not responsible for property taxes. Local political subdivisions are. And so as a legislator who's looking to come back home and work in a local political subdivision, I'll take that very seriously to make sure that we can show fiscal restraint here in Fargo and go back to Bismarck to help ask for additional property tax relief for property owners and business owners. So is it something we're going to have to figure out? Absolutely. And just like any other law we pass black and white laws for a gray world. We're going to have to figure out where we need to tweak that to make it work, especially around public safety across the state. But that's an ask we can take back to the next session.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate the property tax relief of $1,600, and it was a debate throughout the entire last legislative session, almost became an initiated measure, and supported that 100%. And I understand the reason for a cap as well. I attended a chamber meeting shortly after the legislative session where several legislators of both sides of the aisle were attending, and they were very candid about the fact that that was always intended to be a starting point for I understand again the reasons for it, but that they appreciated there probably would likely be tweaks. And so as a city, how are we communicating where those challenges are so we can have a conversation to figure out what are some solutions? I know that the schools and the counties who get more than we do in property taxes together, that they're having serious challenges with the 3% cap because they don't have as many levers and triggers like a city does. And by the way, Fargo, the 20% of property tax goes to the city of Fargo. The rest goes to other political subdivisions. And so, again, it's about relationships. It's about sharing, communicating, and figuring out a solution together.
Denise, just so I make sure I understand your answer, it was or was not fair, the 3%?
I understand that it was a starting place, and they expected that we're going to have conversations to figure out if it's the right level.
Okay, so fair in that context.
Fair in that concept.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
Dave.
you.
So it was a way to get us to spend less money, so it's definitely impacting the city of Fargo's budgets. And then with the governor saying we're probably going to have to cut 10%, this is going to have a big impact on our budget. As far as I'd like to talk a little bit. So it's going to impact counties way more than the city. To give you an example with us, utility fees, water fees, garbage fees, the city of Fargo can get around a lot. A county cannot. And so the one thing that's the most interesting was the legislature voted to cap the city and the county, but they did not cap themselves. I thought that was very revealing, because if it's good for everyone else, why in the world wouldn't you live by your same rules? So I think that's a legitimate question that the legislature should answer. because it's impacting us. We just talked about a development where we don't have enough staff to be able to publicly defend that development, and so it's going to impact us. And so it's an issue, and I believe it will be addressed, like you said, because I think the counties are feeling this much worse than the city of Fargo. Thank you.
So fair or not?
Absolutely not fair.
Not fair. Okay. Thank you.
If I made a rule that you have to live by, but I don't have to live by it, that's my definition of not fair.
Understand. Thank you, Dave.
I couldn't agree
Sekou?
more, Dave. I couldn't agree with you more, Dave. I think this is something we almost are all on the same page about. Fargo is the largest city in the state of North Dakota and the most economically viable city in North Dakota. And so, yes, there are leeways to get around this 3% cap, but I think the intentionality behind it is good. It's fair to help control. That's what I'm talking about, responsible, managing the growth responsibly. I think this will also help the city of Fargo. My concern, like most of the other speakers said, is what happened to the other counties that may not be able to get around these things. But definitely, it's an opportunity to have conversation, and we need to have that conversation continuously.
Fair or not?
It's fair.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we've got everybody on that question. Any challenges in that round of answers? Okay, thank you.
All right, Josh. Drug use and crime in Fargo have escalated. The harm reduction program run by Fargo Cass Public Health distributes needles and syringes to drug users. Do you believe that program is helping or contributing to the problem?
I think first and foremost, the data shows us that it's helping. It's helping us address the addiction issue that is a part of our society and part of our community. It is unfortunate that we continue to see people, family members, parents, people who work in our community continue to struggle with the disease of addiction. And the harm reduction program is intended to provide services to those folks and then connect them to resources. In 2025 alone, that harm reduction program connected over approximately 940 people to treatment services, 368 people to substance use or behavioral health issues. We had people referred to job service, legal service. It's helping people make a connection when they're ready to make that connection. Any of us that have worked or lived with someone or know someone in our lives who deals with addiction knows that it is a challenge that those individuals face. And so whatever we can do in partnership with the nonprofits around our community to make sure people are healthier. Now I know there is a lot of debate about handing out needles and exchanging that, but we also know that we've dramatically decreased the spread of hepatitis C across our community and across the state through programs like this.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, addiction and behavioral health issues are a challenge across this entire country, and I'm sure every listener has someone in their family who has struggled with this, including me myself. It has been, first of all, this program is paid for with tobacco settlement dollars. But it is proven, the data and the facts prove that it does connect people to services. In fact, utilizing this program, folks, when they're ready to get the help, are 5 times more likely to ask for it and 3 times more likely to actually stop using products altogether. And 70% there's been a 70% reduction in hepatitis C in Cass County since 2018, since this program was implemented. So the facts show that it works. You have to connect people with services when they're ready. I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield for 16 years. We stopped involuntary treatment placement because it doesn't work. You have to be ready and you have to want the help.
Thank you. Dave?
So what we're doing is enabling, and we obviously have to stop. The taxpayers of Fargo can't afford to keep doing this. And so there's lots of things that we need to do. The unfortunate thing is what happened last year, we were giving out drug paraphernalia, the city of Fargo, paid for by the taxpayers of Fargo. We had crack pipes, and then we have 3 million heroin needles, and now we're the leader in fentanyl overdoses in the region because this is where everyone comes to get free stuff. We are the magnet city. And so that's what's going on. And if we don't change it, and with some of the people here, it will only increase. If we don't, it will continue our downward spiral because that's what's happening. Just go in front of City Hall, go tomorrow. I was just there at 3:30. Multiple people are passed out either because of alcohol or drugs right in front of our City Hall. And to say it's a perception, that's not a perception. I saw it with my own eyes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sekou?
You know, I believe in comparative analysis. It's not just about condemning something, whether it works or not. I love to look at the ratio. I love to see what general good is contributing to the general population. And this program, with the way I look at it and what I have looked at it, data, it shows that it has controlled death rates and disease rate. So it's working in some aspects. Overdose, yes, there are still cases of overdoses because of the program, but at the same time, we are saving lives. So we shouldn't just criticize something because we want to criticize it. What is the impact on the society? What is it contributing to the society overall? That's what I care about. So I think it is working, and I think we can keep it in place, but yet we can streamline some of the activities and make sure that we're not just trying to help people to indulge. We can streamline some of those activities.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Well, first of all, this is not paid for by the tobacco settlement dollars. The drug paraphernalia is paid for by the opioid settlement, which is running out of money. And we are absolutely contributing in enabling people to use illegal drugs. We are giving them the vector to kill themselves. Now, I can walk into harm reduction and go to a vending machine and go get drug paraphernalia. You don't have to engage. You don't have to give your real name. So I don't know where you're coming up with this as such a wonderful way to get people free from drugs. We've given out more than 3 million needles, 7,000 crack pipes, and many other items. You say that Hep C and AIDS has gone down. Do you even know what the occurrence of Hep C and AIDS is in the Fargo-Moorhead area? It's actually not even, it's hardly even negligible. It is so small. So yes, it is supposed to stop the transfer of communicable diseases, but I need to know the numbers. Is it a high number, or is it from 10 people down to 3?
Can I just?
Any challenges there?
Well, it's not a challenge, but she's right. It's not tobacco. I misspoke. It's opioid settlement funds that I used in my. I'm sorry.
Okay. Dave, you want a challenge there?
No, I was under the impression that the challenges could be redeemed for free hot dogs at the Red Sox Stadium.
Sadly,
I agree.
No hot dogs or chairs for the rest of the debate, unfortunately. So, all right, no challenges on that question.
Well, at the risk of losing a hot dog, my challenge is to Commissioner Piepkorn. You made the comment that everyone's coming here to get this product. So how does that explain that since 2025 we've seen a 41% reduction in people enrolling in the program and a 64% reduction in Narcan distribution through public health?
Well, what's happening now is I've had people contact me. We have other counties, their law enforcement drop them off in Fargo. We have witnesses. So what's happening now is we are providing a service for the region, which that might be okay, but then we have to have other people pay for it other than just the taxpayers of Fargo. If it's going to be a regional thing, then, and including the state and the county, but it cannot be just the city of, that's not fair. I don't know if you would agree with that, but if we are providing the service, West Fargo doesn't have it, Moorhead doesn't have it, do you get what I'm saying?
Okay. Yep, thanks. And that's all we'll leave it there with the rules of the debate. Okay. Sorry, but thanks for the challenge and then the response. We appreciate that. Okay, Bonnie.
All right, this one goes to Denise first. Dr. Tim Mahoney, Mayor Dr. Tim Mahoney is completing his last few weeks in office. While we can all point out things we appreciate about his service, what is one thing you would definitely do different than what the mayor has done?
Yeah, there is a legacy there between diversion and water, Red River Water Supply, the airport, a number of things that have happened over the last 5 elections where he was elected. I would take a different approach to just generally relationships. For instance, I would have handled Harwood and the data center differently about that relationship being the way that was managed and kind of a surprise to some of us who weren't part of the NDA. And I would work more closely regularly with our sister city mayors. When I announced that I was running for mayor, the first thing I did was send them all a message to let them know that I'm about working relationships, I'm about building and collaborating with others, and that would be my approach. And I would take that very seriously because we are a regional center, again, not our city without boundaries, when we think about the issues impacting us all. So how do we collaborate, even though we're the largest city, but in earnest and with sincerity?
Thank you. Dave?
So obviously he served for 20 years and I was there for 16 of the 20. And so we've disagreed on things and agreed, but I mean, you have to look, it's been an excellent record of his. What I would change is right now what he does is he excludes people. We get no information. I'm just speaking for myself. There is no communication with the city administrator or the mayor on most topics. And I would be the opposite. I would include everybody, anybody that wants to be a part of something, I would include them. And so it's a method of control it's very bad management style, and this is going to take a very long time to correct because our city has serious issues across the board, not just police, not just communication, and a lot of it is because of this. It was manipulation where you would only give certain people certain information, and so I would be the opposite of that. My door would be open all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Sekou?
Yeah, I think Mayor Mahoney has some gains. He made some gains. He has some wins. As every leader, we will all be criticized, we'll all be critiqued. What we got right, what we got wrong. He got some things right, he did get some things wrong. And that is the reason City Hall was not very much achieving much. And I think something that might look like a negative to Mahoney that I see as a positive is that he was not there trying to control everything. That's why all the commissioners had their own individual votes. They could vote without any fear of retribution or anything, and that is something I would want to maintain. When I come to City Hall, I want to make sure every commissioner has a mind of their own, and they can look at things critically and vote on what they think is better for the city of Fargo. But at the same time, another thing, I mean, he could have done was build more bridges with the fellow commissioners. I don't think that happened. That's why they couldn't talk to each other, and they could not agree on anything. Hence, we have 5 people running for mayor, whereas West Fargo, somebody's running on a post.
Thank you. Michelle?
Well, again, you cannot bring all the commission together and talk because then you would have a quorum. You can only talk to one other commissioner at a time. So I agree with Commissioner Piepkorn that communication has been deficient over the last few years. And even news that I'm hearing today of new developments is all new to me, that I've had news directors reach out to me concerning. The one thing I would do differently is I would have fired Chief Zabolski years ago. I tried to make that happen, and it was ineffectual, and I think now we are finally benefiting from the fact that we have a good police administration.
Thank you. Josh?
As mayor, first let me, congratulate Mayor Mahoney for his legacy of service. He's been elected many times by the voters. They have appreciated him and continue to send him back to the job. The things I would do differently is more proactive engagement, not just with our community, but with our stakeholders and policymakers across the state. It's very often that Fargo shows up asking for what Fargo needs instead of building relationships with cities across the state to find out how we can work collaboratively to get things done. An example of what I was able to accomplish in Bismarck is when Fargo needed more transit money, first thing I asked is what other communities have a similar transit program as Fargo. We found out that the Minot, Grand Forks, and Bismarck have similar transit programs, so we as 4 cities together went and asked for an allocation from the state. And now there's also, so we received $2 million, but also a continued conversation about finding long-term sustainable funding for transit in those 4 communities. So we work better when in partnership and in collaboration with stakeholders, whether it's locally or throughout the state.
Thank you. Anybody have any challenges?
For the next question, I'll remind our group here that you have your 60 seconds. If you wish to go back, I know a few minutes ago ran out of time, I can't say anything. You have 60 seconds. If you can get in to finish the old one, then get to the new one in 60 seconds, you're good. So you've got that real estate to use as you choose. Okay, Dave, you'll go first on this question. And this question comes specifically from this moderator. It's a bit random, but it's something I've thought about for years, and this seems like a good time to ask it. Statistically, Christianity is the overwhelming faith system among city residents. Churches here are full of people on Easter week. The city will occasionally fly flags downtown during special occasions. Considering all this, would you support flying white flags in downtown Fargo during Holy Week?
Absolutely, and I think we have a policy, but I think you have to be, if we're free speech and free expression, then you have to be consistent. And so, to me, if you have a policy, you have to follow it. And so, to me, that's we have the 10 Commandments in the middle of the square at City Hall. And so, I couldn't think of a bigger example of free speech, and that's Christianity and Judaism. And so, I think we have to be, like we talked about before, we're all Fargoans, We have to be not discriminate. That's across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Sekou.
I think I'm the only preacher up on stage here, and I'm careful with how I do things because I don't like to alienate anybody from the process. So if we say, hey, okay, we're dominantly Christian, so let's fly white flag during Holy Week, will you also be willing to fly a Muslim flag during Ramadan? So let's be careful what we ask for. Fargo is not a church. Fargo is a city. It's a government city run on ordinances run by the Constitution. So anything that will be divisive, I'm not going to be part of it. I'm a Christian. My Bible is the authority for the church when it comes to running the city ordinances, the state laws, the federal laws, the Constitution will run the city. And I will not use the Bible to run the city because everybody in Fargo is not Christian. Everybody in Fargo does not adhere to the Christian faith, and we have to respect all of us. We can be different, and we can still be one. We are all, like Dave said, we're all Fargoans. Let's try to overcome anything that bring divisions among us.
Okay, thank you. Michelle?
Absolutely. We fly flags for all sorts of different reasons in the city, and I would absolutely be in agreement with flying it for Holy Week. You need to know your history when you start arguing this point and the history of our country. And it is a nation built on Christian values, and you cannot argue that with me. We say the Pledge of Allegiance every time before a meeting, one nation under God. We have in God we trust in our courtrooms and on our currency. It is absolutely pertinent that people understand that this is a Christian country, that this is a melting pot, and when you come here, it is to come to assimilate to this country, not to bring other, and it's nothing against other religions, but other cultures that should assimilate to the American culture.
Thank you. Michelle. Josh?
Anytime we mix religion with government, we have to be careful. So if the question specifically about flying a Christian flag, I would want to make sure that we have a policy in place that is inclusive or exclusive of all religions. So we're making sure that we're following, case law that has already been put in place. To the comment of us people assimilating to our American culture is built on the vibrancy of people who have brought their hard work, their labor, their values, their experiences, their religions, their cultures, their dance, their music, their work ethic to our country, and that's what we built on. And so, while certainly we might have started with one group of people, we've evolved to 340 million people from all over the world, and I'm proud that Fargo is an epicenter of some of that, and we should continue to celebrate the diversity of our community.
Making sure I understand your answer, Josh. Yes or no, you would support that or you would not?
If we had a policy that was explicit about how religious symbolism was respected or supported throughout the city, then yes. But I would want to make sure that we're not just doing one religion over another or saying yes or no to certain religions.
I don't feel like that was really answered.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to make sure my flag flies on City Hall if we can't allow other religious organizations also have their flag.
Point of clarity on this, and those of you who are in the city government may know this already. What is the policy on this? I have been told that it's not something that anyone could come in and request this, and it's more of a judgment thing, and it's sort of loose. Clarity on this?
I do not know the policy, but I will find it out for you, Steve, and I will get it to you so you can relay it to everybody that's listening.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we've had everybody speak on this.
Denise.
Except Denise, okay.
Yeah, this is still a country with separation of church and state. I'll start with that. And we have a First Amendment that allows religious freedom and freedom of speech. And our Constitution, our country, were built on those principles by our founding fathers. So having said that, I'm a Christian. And our policy today, my understanding, it does not allow us to have flying flags for religious reasons. But if it were to change, it would have to change for all religions because of separation of church and state.
Okay. Any challenges that anyone wishes to use on this question? Okay, thank you.
All right, Sekou, you're up next. The proposed Fargo Convention Center has 2 finalist sites, downtown by the Civic Center and the Bruhala area. What's the right choice?
You know, I've been asked this question over and over, and I'm happy that it came up again. I'm not a fan of the Fargo Convention Center, even though it's been voted on. I'm not a fan of that. I thought it was a missed opportunity. I think Fargo residents are facing so much hardship that we could have used this opportunity to address some of those hardships in other ways. I see the convention center as just one of those dreams that city commissioners wanted. I don't know the direct socioeconomic impact that it's going to have on the city residents. Therefore, my simple answer is, I don't care where you site it. It's a missed opportunity. If you like site it on top of City Hall or wherever, I don't care. We should have used that opportunity to do something better and not just trying to fund some pipe dreams, because how will we maintain this building? We pay for this building. How many businesses will be impacted given our population 140 or 141,000?
All right, Michelle?
Well, first of all, this was approved by Fargo voters, and this is paid for by visitors of Fargo. This is not paid for by Fargo residents. So this is paid for and funded by a lodging tax. And I think we have to look at the aggregate good of who will benefit the most from the location. And I have thought about this very much. Both have wonderful ideas and beautiful proposals, but it has to go downtown. We spend $250,000 a year just to keep the Civic Center alive. And that is the heating, the out-of-date HVAC system. And it's almost unfunctionable the way it is. The designers are able to reuse the bones of the Civic Center. That will help rejuvenate downtown. There are far more businesses that will benefit in the downtown location than in the Brewhalla location. So I was not afraid Tuesday to actually be a leader, make my choice, and say, let's put it downtown. We were given leadership roles. Let's make the choice and get this going.
Thank you. Josh?
I think the best location is the one that puts the least risk on the city. We are finding ourselves in a tight budget, and that's a major concern. I continue to hear from people both who support the convention center and those that oppose it. So with that, I know that the ball is in the commission's court, and I would be supportive of making sure that the current commission is making that decision, since they've spent the last 18 months, as a part of this conversation. I think punting it to the next commission is dangerous and not doing what was asked of folks, and they've had plenty of time to do it. So I'm hopeful within the next month that the commission finalizes a selection.
Very good. Denise?
No answer. You didn't answer where you would want it.
I honestly, I don't care. It can go where it best. No, I've not been sitting on those committees.
No, yeah. Josh answered. He said wherever it would make the best impact.
There's A or B.
Okay, I think we've gotten that out on the table. Thank you for that.
Denise?
I've been actively part of this committee for the last 18 months, and I completely agree it's got to be this commission that makes the final decision. I asked for at the last commission meeting that we get the financial data that compares apples to apples, and I have been consistent on this. There are pros and cons to both locations, and until I see that financial information, I'm not ready, because my number one job as a leader on the commission is to make sure I'm being fiscally responsible for the sustainability of how we're going to continue to pay for this with the lodging tax over time. And so until I see that financial data, I will not be making my decision.
Thank you, Denise.
Dave?
So I was very pleased that it was delayed, and we're going to have Baker Tilly evaluate both of these. And we are not going to be in any rush. There's no reason that this commission needs to vote on it. This has the potential to be a financial disaster. And so we need to have experts that are making these lease agreements, these legal agreements, not our city attorney, not our city finance director. We need experts doing these agreements, because it's not just building a $40 million building, it's the long-range upkeep, the long-range, who's making the money. And right now, we have no idea. And so I believe we're far from making a decision, and I don't believe it's just going to be these two. I think we should look at all four of them, because the bottom line is what's best financially for Fargo, not which looks nice, which is nice for the business owners downtown. It's taxpayers' money is on the line, not just for a year, forever. And so this is a serious decision, and we're not ready. We're not even close to being ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Challenges?
Yeah, and I would say on the challenge side, this is probably the perfect time to say, so-and-so, I don't think I heard your answer. That's a way that you can use your challenges too. To Denise's comment about what the process is. So hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. Back to Steve. Michelle, you will go first on this one. City commissioners and the mayor are sometimes pressured to take positions on national and international issues that have nothing to do with running Fargo. When is it appropriate for city leadership to formally weigh in on such issues?
It's not. It's not appropriate. That's not our role. And it's not something that we should be discussing as business meetings as representatives of the city of Fargo. We have had people come in and shout, "Save Palestine." I don't have a hotline to Benjamin Netanyahu and to help mediate an international conflict. That is not city business. That is not something that we need to get into. We don't need to be going to No Kings protests and showing our political agendas that way. So I think city officials have no business in getting involved in the commission meetings discussing national and international news.
Okay, thank you. Josh?
Could you repeat the question? I was thrown out based on the ordering.
Yeah.
We got out of whack there, so we were talking about that.
Yeah. Just
never mind.
Okay. Apologies if we skipped something there. City commissioners and mayor are sometimes pressured to take positions on national and international issues that have nothing to do with running Fargo. When is it appropriate? That's the question. When is it appropriate for city leadership to formally weigh in on these issues?
Right. For me, the litmus test is, does it impact the business of the city? You know, in terms of the conversation, does it impact what we're doing and what's on our priorities? And that's, again, the importance of if the city leaders having a vision and a strategy of how we're moving forward. Things like this come up as distractions often because people aren't clear on what we are focused on. And we would be able to have an answer as a city about why we aren't having conversations about things happening in other parts of the world or even other parts of the country if we continue to stay focused on the strategy and the plan moving forward. So my answer would be that in most cases it wouldn't be the priority of the city to weigh in on that.
Okay, thank you. Denise?
Yeah, the last time this was front and center was the request for a proclamation around the Gaza situation, and I was very clear in that vote that this is not part of the business of the city. The city has no responsibility to intervene in a global conflict, I think was my quote at the meeting. I did not support the proclamation. There's two sides to the issue there. And it was 3 months of distraction of us meeting with people, getting emails. It really had an impact on our time if we were being responsive. And so I did meet with everybody, heard all sides, but in the end I made it very clear I did not support the proclamation because it's not the business of the city.
Thank you. Dave?
We have so many issues within the city of Fargo. That should be our primary focus. I think we all have the right for free speech, but I think that we have to be very careful that when somebody asks us our opinion, that we say, I'm speaking with, this is my own opinion, and not ever at a city event. So I think we have so many issues that the city needs to focus on. I don't have my cup with me, but it says watch your own bobber. And so to me, that's what we should do. Watch what's going on in Fargo, and that's what we have impact on, not all these other things.
Thank you. Sekou?
I think I'm listening to classical political answers to this question for people who looking for office and they don't want to rock the boat. It makes no sense that anybody say a mayor in Fargo cannot comment on national or global issue. Right now, gas price is up. It did not start in Fargo. There are global issues that affect residents in Fargo. So you can tell me if mayor of Fargo cannot comment on global issues that are squeezing Fargo residents at the pump and other things. COVID-19 did not remain in China. It affected the entire world. It disrupted logistics and moving stuff forward. Also, the tariff that came from Washington, D.C., it also affected farmers here in Fargo. So to tell me that when you're a mayor in Fargo, you cannot comment on national issues that are going to directly impact residents in Fargo is frivolous. It's a missed opportunity. When I'm mayor, anything nationally or globally that affect people in Fargo, I will speak towards them.
Okay, thank you. Any challenges in that round of Denise,
Yeah, I'll
you have
challenge
15 seconds.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Piepkorn. I appreciate your position on this, hearing this. You weren't at the vote that night. It was a very contentious conversation. The room was packed with signs. It was emotional. It would have been helpful to hear that night on the vote. You weren't at the meeting.
Dave, you have 30 seconds.
I wasn't at the meeting because I was afraid for my safety. We have no security in City Hall. We had 2 police officers, and when I did a nose count, we must have had 75 people with backpacks. And so to me, that was not a safe situation. Actually, this leads into our City Hall needs to be secured, period. And right now, we don't have enough funding set aside for that. So it's a serious issue, not just for the City Commission, but also for the staff that's there on a daily basis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, Josh is next. Special assessments have been a persistent frustration for Fargo homeowners, but someone has to pay the bill eventually for infrastructure developments. What would you change about the system?
What I would change about, so first of all, what I would change about special assessments is how we prioritize what projects get special assessments. So using the bonding mechanism of the city to help offset the cost to homeowners or carry that cost over a longer term. As a real estate agent, every day this is a conversation about whether people can afford building a new house or moving into a house or staying in their home based on specials. So my priority would be making sure that our specials are prioritized for infill and making sure we're taking care of the streets and the water project or water infrastructure that we have currently. But then as we talk about growth, that we're only offering special assessments to certain type of growth that is meeting the needs of the housing and development needs that the city has prioritized. There's a lot of developments that can happen and people are willing to pay the full bill and those can happen and the city should authorize those and let those happen, but the city should not use our special assessment process or the bonding that we have access to offset those costs.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, right now housing is unaffordable already for a lot of people, and if we take away the way Fargo has always done this, especially for Greenfield, and having the ability for new homeowners to pay this over 20 years as opposed to paying it up front with whatever the interest rate is you get on your mortgage loan, it's going to be very difficult to make housing more affordable. The special assessment issue was studied in depth about 7 years ago now, and there were many changes made at that time. They went from the city paying about 30% to citizens paying 70% to just the inverse. Now today, with caps, citizens pay about 30%, city pays about 60 to 70%, is one point. The second is prioritizing the projects as part of the capital improvement plan. Needs to continue, and how we utilize prairie dog funds for some of those major thoroughfares is another way to address this impact to all citizens. And so all of those things connected, it's the system we have. I think we've studied it. It's become much more equitable, and we're not getting the pushback like we did 6 and 7 years ago.
Thank you. Dave?
When I'm elected mayor, I'm the liaison for the Planning Commission, and we're redoing the Land Development Code. Part of that is reforming specials. Right now, the bank is the taxpayers of the city of Fargo. There's a lot of developers that have made millions of dollars and they want to keep this system continued. What we're doing now is we're funding the infrastructure and new developments, the taxpayers, and that can't continue. That risk is going to blow up in our face. And so it has to stop. I will reform it. And we are the only people in the United States, the city of Fargo in this area, that do it this way. Doesn't that tell you something? And so what we have to do is, when you do new infrastructure, we're not going to fund it. The interesting thing is, if we reform our specials, we're also going to be able to reduce our engineering staff. Right now, we have one of the largest engineering departments in the region, and we don't need that many if we're not doing all these projects. Thank you.
Sekou?
Thank you. I think when it comes to special assessments, I think, yes, homeowners have been squeezed. It's something we have to take a look at. And I don't think when I'm at City Hall, it's not a decision I want to make unilaterally. I think we can bring together all the partners that are involved with this, the developers, the homeowners, and everybody that is involved with this. Let's have a discussion on it, because special assessment, as people frown on it, is still adding some income that is helping with some of our infrastructure, taking care of some things. If we end that, where do we get that money from to fund some of the projects that we are funding? So we can't just say willy-nilly, let's end it. No, let's look at it. Let's look at a fact sheet. Let's create a middle ground so that our homeowners are not just being totally squeezed, but at the same time, the city has projects that it has to take care of. So we have to create a balance between that. Let's look at it holistically. Let's have a conversation on that, and let's take the middle road that benefits the city and the residents.
All right, and Michelle.
Well, the city being a bank is not a core city service, so we need to get out of the banking business as the city of Fargo. As far as housing special assessments go, we need to look at have the developers pay for those up front rather than on the back end. So that way you don't have that home special assessment, and the cost of the home isn't as transparent because you have the house price and then all of a sudden you have another $50,000, $60,000 in special assessments to pay off. So let's switch that around. I would also suggest we get rid of the new housing 2-year tax exemption. That would be helpful, and I am quite confident that other cities would follow suit with that. And we vote for the continuation of the infrastructure sales tax, because without that, you are going to get stuck with some very high bills until we can get rid of these special assessments. And it's something that will not hurt our pocketbook, and visitors will have to contribute to that as well.
Okay.
Challenges?
All right. Next question, Denise, you will go first on this. What is something you would like to see come to Fargo that we don't already have? Maybe an entertainment option, a certain kind of business, a venue, or maybe something else?
I'm excited about the Science Museum coming, but that's already underway. As far as retail, I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's when we go to Seattle. That would be great to see. But what I really love is what we've seen in the expansion of all the diversity in our eating establishments. And not that I am about food, but I can be about food. And just people leveraging their diversity to bring new ideas to this region and to Fargo is really exciting to see. So those would be a couple of specific examples.
Okay. Dave?
A performing arts center. Like I totally agree, the Science Center, to have that downtown will be great. But also a performing arts center. And I want to go into, from now on, we have a lot of property the city does downtown. We are not going to give any away free. If you paid attention at our last meeting, the Kilbourne Group wanted the Downtown Engagement Center for $500,000. It's assessed at $2.5 million. So I'm like, I'm sure you would like to buy it for $500,000. And so what we'll do is we'll put an RFP and we'll ask $3 million and we'll get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sekou.
I think we can make Fargo an entertainment hub in the region. And one of the ideas I floated to Mayor Mahoney was that something that I will see come. I want to see us create a Fargo Walk of Fame. I believe so many people have invested in this city, have worked for this city, have served this city. I love celebrating achievement. I love celebrating people who've done good for the city. And so it would not be bad to have a Fargo Walk of Fame. I would like to see Steve start on that Fargo Walk of Fame and so many other people. I would even like to see everybody here start. Denise, who's been serving, Michelle, Dave, and Josh. I love to see people who have made this city better, who have brought us together, who have done things. I would love to see businesses celebrate. And so it's something I'm really passionate about, creating a Fargo Walk of Fame.
Okay. Michelle?
We do have a Fargo Walk of Fame, actually. I would like to see someone step up and take over for Jade Presents, because I believe that is a big loss to the city and all the concert promotion that they have done. So hopefully someone can step up there. I'm excited about the ideas for the new Science Museum. They spoke at the last commission meeting and have some wonderful ideas. I am excited for the Target to finally go in just north of 52nd. That would be fabulous for that to happen. And not so much as an attraction, but I really want to see 76th Avenue South interchange be put in as soon as possible.
Okay. All right, thank you, Michelle. Josh?
Well, I know whoever's able to be mayor when Trader Joe's opens up in Fargo will certainly be a hero. So I second bringing a Trader Joe's. But I think more importantly, I'd love for us to have more of a conversation in partnership with the Park District and other nonprofits about doing more indoor facilities that we can that families and community members can access throughout the year. We've had a great conversation on the north side with what the potential closure of a senior center would look like, and now it's evolved into a conversation about what would a community space look like on the north side for people to walk, for community groups, for teen groups to meet, but especially with winter, having indoor activities will be an important piece.
Okay. Very good. And I think that's everybody on that question. Any challenges there to anything that was said? Somebody like something else other than Trader Joe's better? Trader Joe's getting some free publicity here tonight. All good. Okay. Having seen no challenges, we're going to start to transition to kind of the final chapter of our evening here tonight. We have a section now that we're titling a distinction segment. Much is at stake, obviously, in this campaign. You all have worked very hard and put a lot of heart and soul into this. This is the last chance for the public to understand why you are unique in this group. So we want to give each of you 60 seconds to draw a clear distinction between yourself and one or more of the candidates on the stage. This is optional. There will not be time given for responses, so just so we're clear on that, but challenges can still be used if you have any. Again, this is an optional opportunity for you to draw a distinction or delineation between you and one or more of the candidates on the stage. Who would like to go first? Dave.
I'll go first. One difference between me and everybody else up here is I oppose the 1% tax. It's $34 billion, and so $34 million, and so I would encourage people to vote no. And now, if you've noticed, they've sent out postcards with scare tactics saying, if you don't approve this, we're going to raise your specials, we're going to raise this. Can I tell you a secret? We have more money than we know what to do with, and do you know where it is? It's in the legacy fund. $13.6 billion. That's enough to pay for infrastructure for hundreds of years. And so for the government in Fargo to try to scare us to say we don't have money for infrastructure, and then the money, and actually it's not the legislators' money, it's not the state's money, it's our tax money that's been collected. It's sitting there, it's ours, and we want it used for infrastructure. That's all we have to do. It was originally supposed to be $1 billion, and now it's $13.6 billion. So let's go.
So your distinction is you're saying you're the only one who shares that position on this stage?
Absolutely, it's true.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? 60 seconds.
I'll go. I think my distinction from everyone on the stage here tonight is the fact that I'm a preacher, and I've been preaching for over 30 years, 33 years maybe. And what I do is listen to people as a preacher. I sit down, I counsel families going through difficulties. I talk to, as a community activist, I talk to people in the community. I listen to their problems. I sit with them and help to craft solutions to those problems. And that's exactly what I'm bringing to City Hall. A mayor should be somebody who listens first and decides later. For the fact that I'm up here on stage and 5 of us are here, it means something is broken. We're not doing something right. So I want to come to City Hall and bring people together. I believe in representative government. I think we should go towards the ward system. I think every district should be represented in Fargo in the decision process. I think our young people should be brought to bear. They should come close and see what's happening. I'm the only candidate speaking about those things. We need to give people opportunity. I believe in representation. So every district should have a seat at the city council so that they can have a part in process formulation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll go. I think I'm professionally the most experienced candidate, excuse me, of the mayors up here, mayoral candidates up here. Professionally, I worked for 40 years in a number of organizations, 3 of which I led, 2 as executive director, starting one. I also have been chair of 7 statewide or local boards, which says something not only about my ability to lead a meeting and understanding of parliamentary procedure, but the trust that the members and the organizations had in me to be their leader. And last, I'm truly an independent. I've not been active in either political party. This is not a stepping stone for me. It is the last campaign and election that I'm going to run for and position that I want to be part of. And I take that to heart. I do not make decisions based or on a political lens. And I would continue to do that because mayor works for every Fargoan, and I would continue to do that.
Okay. Anyone else?
This is Josh. What would make me stand out compared to the other 4 candidates is I'm the only one outside of City Hall. So the frustration people have had with the way the city has functioned, whether it's the full commission or sub-commissions, I'm the one that has been able to deliver for Fargo outside of that and in partnership with some of the people at this table. I am committed to continuing to move our Fargo forward. I work in collaboration with people, whether we agree most of the time or disagree most of the time. But we're always focused on the goal of moving Fargo forward and delivering for our community.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, would you like to add something? Or
yes,
no?
I
Okay.
would. Thank you. I would say what differentiates me from several of the candidates is that I've actually given answers to how I would fix problems, where what I am hearing from several people is just, we need to listen, we need to listen. We listen every single day. I talk to people every single day. I'm meeting with people, I'm in living rooms, I'm in businesses, and I've actually come up with solid answers, not waffled, not given I don't know or I don't care answers. And I think that speaks volumes. So I certainly hope that on June 2nd, with early voting, and on June 9th, Election Day, that you will vote Michelle Turnberg for mayor.
Okay, if you've got a challenge left, you can burn one here. And we have, let's see, Bonnie, what do we have?
Denise
left?
is out, and Dave's got both, and the rest of you have one left.
Okay, so everybody but Denise. If you want to challenge something that was just said there, this is your time.
I think I can use my one that is left. I mean, I'm hearing, people trying to separate themselves from each other. Yep, everybody here, Josh, 10 years in the legislature, the other 3 are on the city commission. So you're still part of the process. Here's what's going to happen. When I get to City Hall, I'm going to make sure I send a bill to the state legislature to make sure that anybody who already currently holds an elected position, if you must run for another elected position, you have to first resign that, because that's corruption. Corruption has so many faces. You can't black out 2 spots. If Michelle doesn't win, she doesn't lose anything. She goes back and continues as city commissioner. If Josh doesn't win, he continues. He still has 2 years in the Senate. So I think it's unfair to residents in Fargo that one person can black out 2 spots. If you really mean this, that I want to serve, resign your current elected position to run for a second elected position. I think that is corruption, and we need to end that.
Okay. Anyone else?
All right, time for closing statements. You have 60 seconds. We're going to do reverse order, so Michelle is first.
Very good. Well, I would just like to start by saying that I love Fargo. I have lived here for more than 30 years, and I have raised my family here. I have built my career here. I've served the community both as a journalist, a businesswoman, and also now as a city commissioner. I have listened to thousands of residents, and the message is clear that people want common sense back in City Hall. They want leaders who will ask tough questions before spending your hard-earned dollars. They want government that lives within its means. They want public safety to be a priority and not an afterthought, and they want a mayor who represents all of Fargo, not just a select few interests. So you heard many different opinions and visions for the city's future tonight, but mine is simple, and that is to restore trust, focus on core city services, support our police, fire, and first responders, and bring accountability back to government and make sure every decision starts with, is this making life better for taxpayers who are paying the bill?
Thank you. Sekou?
Oh, this way.
Yep, we're going reverse.
Thank you. As we've been on this journey ever since from day one, the only person who's spoken on his record is Josh in the Senate. The other 3 had never spoken on their records. If you're running for this office, you should be presenting your record, and I think they've never done that because there's no record to convince the people of Fargo on, and that's what I still insist. Anybody who fails as a city commissioner should not be elected as a mayor, because as city commissioner, they got 1 vote, and when they become mayor, they will still have 1 vote. As city commissioner, if they cannot talk to each other to get things passed, when they become mayor, it will still be the same. That's why we cannot trust these rhetorics. You have to pay attention to what they do. I am running because I care about this city. Yes, I don't have all the experience, but I have experience in other places. And I'm coming with the heart of service. I love the city and I care about this city. And a vote for me is a vote for our law enforcement officers, a vote for our young people, for our seniors, for our veterans, for affordable housing, for safer street. A vote for me is a vote for people living with mental health, homeless people, all the problems. Thank you.
All right, Dave.
So if you vote for me for mayor on June 9th, on June 10th, we will propose a budget where we're going to reduce the mill. Then we're also going to reduce utility fees. And so affordable housing, that isn't just for a select group, that will be for everybody. That will impact everybody that owns a house or rents an apartment. That's the first thing we're going to do. Then we're going to restore law and order. Our downtown is in a death spiral. And if we don't do something, it's going to continue and grow worse. And so we have to do that. We need law and order. We have to be tough on crime. We can't be soft on crime. Right now, if you get a shoplifting call, they don't even come. And if you're caught shoplifting, there is no punishment. So if you're a criminal and you commit a crime and there's no punishment, do you know what you do? You commit more crime. So if you want to have a clean, safe city with fiscal discipline, I'm a small business owner with common sense. I'm your man. Vote for me on June 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise?
Yeah, hi. This race is not about me, and it's not about scare tactics or politics. It's about you and the work ahead of us to make sure you are proud to say you are from Fargo and for Fargo. And you're proud of your city commission meetings, and you're proud of your local government, and you're engaged. That is why I'm asking for your vote. Not to be the mayor, but to be your mayor. So I'm asking for you to support me to rebuild this together for Fargo, and I hope I've earned your vote on June 9th. Thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you. And Josh?
I love calling Fargo home, and I know many other people who are listening and voters can say the same thing. I'm a leader who folks have depended on to get things done, who's seen as a collaborator, who's respected across the aisle and within City Hall and outside of City Hall, someone who's able to build relationships and move things forward. My record speaks for itself. As a real estate agent, I have spent time in every neighborhood around this, throughout this community, helping people buy homes and understand why people pick different places and what they like and don't like. I've been intimately involved in our community in a variety of different ways. And so, as I've stated before, if you want more of the same, you have plenty of options for your next mayor. If you're looking for someone who's going to do things differently and make sure that we continue to engage the community even stronger, I ask for your vote on June 9th.
Okay.
Thank you.
That concludes the final Fargo mayor candidate debate. On behalf of WDAY Fargo, WZFG Dilworth, and all of Fieldstone Group, we want to say thank you. Josh Boschee, Denise Kolpack, Dave Piepkorn, Sekou Sirleaf, and Michelle Turnberg for being here and their willingness to serve this community. I think I say this at the end of each of these forums, but you all have made a decision, like Teddy encouraged us, to get in the arena. It's easy to talk about making a difference, and you all are trying to do that, and we respect that greatly. Fargo voters, Election Day is coming very soon. You've heard from the candidates. Now go out and vote. Stay with us. Jay Thomas will pick it up in just a moment with our post-debate show, and we'll be taking your calls.
And thank you to all the candidates. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. And Steve, good job.
All right, thanks much.
Have a great evening.
This is WZFG Dilworth and WDAY Fargo. Have a good night.
You heard from the candidates. Now we want to hear from you. The Fargo Mayoral Debate Post Show begins in moments on WDAY Radio and The Flag.
North Dakota conservative leaders are backing Jill.
PhD, we're all about.
To the Jay Thomas podcast, thanks to Hot Spring Spas and pool tables too. The debate season for Fargo mayoral candidates. I think, Steve, you could say they're all still in it, man. I still go back to it depends on who comes out to vote and what the turnout is.
Yes. I would say that I think you've got I think there's a clear group of four here based on what I can tell in the way of just how the candidates are projecting through the community here. I'm struggling, Jay, to figure out how much analysis I give right here with people who just left the studio. Look, it's going to be tough for Sekou.
Very.
He's hard. I'm sorry. I wish it didn't matter, but it does.
He's
hard
a nice
to understand.
Man. He's a nice man.
He's a wonderful man.
But
he's a man of faith.
That doesn't win elections.
He's hard to understand. Yeah. I thought the biggest down moment for him, or I always say it when I'm kind of looking back on this, how do these comments land? I thought his comment about, if I'm mayor, I want to talk about tariffs and gas prices and Hamas. I just couldn't have come up with a worse answer for that question. Everybody else had the answer that I think 99% of Fargo wants to hear. We don't comment on international politics here. Otherwise, it turns into the mayor on their own personal soapbox, and who really does want that?
Don't want the mayor doing that. Don't want commissioners doing that. Their business is to take care of the city, and that comes down to infrastructure, safety, taxes, stuff like that, not international politics. And like Commissioner and candidate Michelle Turnberg says, like, look, I don't have a direct line to Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, no, this is not what we're here for.
It's a great line. She's 100% right on that. I thought if you take a look at, who left what impression tonight, let's talk about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. When if someone said, give me Sekou in 15 seconds, what would you say?
Nice man with a big heart, but his heart, I think, is in the wrong place when it comes to what city leaders' job is. That's my take with Sekou.
And we'll ask you, friends, 293-9000, if you want to call in and give us your perspective. Who do you think won the debate? Whose night was it? And what impressions did you get left with the candidates? Michelle, what were you left with an impression of Michelle?
Michelle cares about the city. Michelle, she's just a person that cares about the city, and I think she, and for sitting on the council now, 2 years, I think she is seeing a city that she loves going in the wrong direction, and a lot of people feel that way. And that direction is law and order, the needle exchange program, what's going on with taxes. And she's not the only one, but when she speaks, Michelle speaks from the heart. I don't think Michelle wants to be a politician. I think she just wants a city that she wishes was the way it was years ago. Now, I know you can't go back in time, but I think her heart's in it. Just like I think Denise Kolpack's heart's in it. I think all their hearts are in it. I don't think any of these candidates, Steve, and callers will get to you in a second. Mike, you'll be first. I don't think any of these candidates are doing this for I'm going to use the word fame.
To get rich and famous.
Yeah, that's not. They
agree.
They are looking at, hey, this is my city, and I feel the city's going in the wrong direction. I don't like what I'm seeing. But for each of them, I think it's a different vision.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't think any of these people is thinking, this is my stepping stone to be the next governor.
No, not at all.
I don't see that. I guess it's possible with Josh having the legislative experience, and if he could run a city, I think it might build his resume. I think Michelle, people have said Michelle may have a future beyond city politics if she wants it. But I don't know that she, I don't know. I think her stuff is so central to Fargo that I don't see her being a let's run for governor and let's run the state or be a senator someday. She might. I don't know. I think, there's a number of candidates here that could have political futures. Denise, I mean, they all could. But I'm with you. I think they're in it because they care about this town.
Yeah. No,
and they want to see things change.
And I'll say this, whether you agree, disagree with the views of these candidates, they're all good people that stepped up to run for this mayoral position. I think they all bring something to the table. It's different in each one of them, but they all have something there. When it comes to running the city of Fargo. Let's real quick grab some calls here, Steve.
Let's do it.
Hey, Mike, you're up on the post-game show. What was your takeaway, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I love Dave Piepkorn, but what he just said just turned me off. I would never vote for that man for anything again.
What was it?
I mean, when he said that he wants to cut the taxes for this, cut the taxes for that, because we're going to take it out of the legacy fund. That legacy fund belongs to the whole state of North Dakota, not just Fargo. I mean, I thought it was disgusting what he just said.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by the legacy fund comment too, and you're right. That legacy fund is for the entire state, and Steve and Mike, that stuff like that is where we get the tag Imperial Cass County. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
You're 100% right. I was surprised by that answer too. Now, Dave has been critical, and he said tonight that he thought the wrong thing was done. It wasn't fair to do the 3% cap, and he's been consistent with that, which is a bit of an interesting dynamic because he's a fiscal conservative, and stopping spending is one of the big kind of crusades that he's been on. But he doesn't like that the legislature is putting rules on everybody else that they don't have to follow themselves. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised that he thinks about that. But for him to come out and say, I think we should tap the legacy fund for infrastructure, I do think he was trying to make the point, Mike and Jay, that we could pay for the infrastructure for the whole state, I think is what I was picking up on from him. But the fact that he would use it in a Fargo City or Fargo mayoral debate, I was surprised to hear that too. I think if we're not greedy with that legacy fund, and if we just let that bad boy simmer for a while and don't get too greedy to spend it, that thing could have the potential to save us from the worst rainy day ever. And I don't want to see us raid that for things that local communities should be paying for on their own. And if you can't, then stop spending.
I was surprised Josh didn't jump in on a rebuttal on that one.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, but but he said that the city of Fargo will tap into the legacy fund, and it's wrong. I mean, I don't know where he thinks that Fargo owns the legacy fund. I mean, and that's how he came across on the radio. I listened to the whole debate. I mean, he did good right up until then. And it was just.
And that one thing did it for you.
That was one thing that did it for me. There's no way I would ever vote for that man again for anything.
Mike, appreciate the phone call. Let's go to Cliff in Fargo. Cliff, you're up on the post-game show.
Hey, good debate, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If I was Michelle, and when you were talking about the differences when you gave that opportunity, I would strictly say two of the people up here support handing out millions and millions of needles and crack pipes and just pound that to death. And just the average person who's ever come across one of those or whatever has, it's amazing. I would just make that distinction, plain as day, that two of those people support handing out those, handing out pipes and and needles, and then also, I would also have mentioned cracking down on the speeding and the motorcycles and the racing, and then public safety, and throw something in there about taxes. But my point is, that was, in my view, that's the biggest opportunity. Is it's the homelessness, the needles, and I don't feel like I was surprised they didn't really use their rebuttals for that topic to just kind of pound that home, that there's a big difference there.
No.
There was a real difference.
You're going to vote for one of those two.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're going to vote for someone else.
Right. And it's kind of funny because this isn't a Republican versus Democrat kind of a debate, and I know Denise is fighting as viciously as she can to not be labeled any certain way, a liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. But her voting record and her answers all line up on a liberal side of government, spending and social programs and all of those things. You can't find a lot of conservative pieces there. And we know who Josh is from his record. He makes no bones about it. He's a Democrat and votes for a lot of things. But he has had some votes. And he pointed out one tonight and I can't remember what it was, but he has also at times in the state legislature stood up for oil and gas and coal in the state by saying, look, these are important pieces of what we do. So Josh has done a nice job in this campaign, I think, of pointing out areas where he said, I voted for it. It was the 3% with the property tax. He said, I voted for that. So I do think it was fair. So he's got some areas where he at least has a record where he can say, hey, I voted on this thing once or twice. I don't know that Denise has that. I'm trying to think back to see if I can find anything.
I think you're so right.
And on the other side, you've got Dave and Michelle, who are obviously the conservatives. Fiscally, no nonsense so we can't save the world. Our job is to run Fargo, not to save humanity from their problems. And so it's interesting. And then you got Sekou, who's just kind of his own unique person there, conservative in some ways, but very liberal in other ways. So it really was, I thought, you could draw a line in the sand between a couple of candidates that kind of landed on one side of the fence and a couple that landed on the other side. This is going to be a very fascinating election. I have no idea who's going to win this.
It really is.
Yeah, Josh is solid debater, and I mean he's very well spoken. And I think it's between him and Michelle. But again, I would. And Denise is so defensive on that subject, and it's so obvious with her voting record, and we'll see what happens. But
who do you think won tonight? If you had to pick a winner, Cliff?
I would say probably Josh.
Yeah.
Just because he just had firm answers, and he's just super calm, and he's kind of the outsider in a sense. He can use that and play it pretty well, and I thought he did.
He did, absolutely. Yeah, he's very easygoing, handles himself really well, thinks quickly on his feet. And he's an affable guy. I mean, he doesn't have a furrowed brow and we're going to get him or whatever. He's just kind of that guy that you feel like I could have a beer with this dude. He is. He brought that out, I thought, well tonight. I thought he had a strong night. Yes, I agree with you.
Cliff, and I'm with you. I've said it for a while. I'm not throwing any of the candidates out because it could be anybody's race. We could wake up and go, wow, really? But I've said for quite a while, this is a race between, I think, me personally, and I've got no skin in the game because I live in West Fargo, but I think it's between Michelle and Josh. I think those are your front runners.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks much.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we all can look at these candidates and say, look, I love that answer. I thought Dave Piepkorn had some really strong ansers tonight.
They all did. They all had
the vagrant center. I mean, he is not going to pull any punches. No. He's not going to be politically correct, but you know what you're getting with him.
Yep.
Michelle coming right out and saying, this is a Christian nation, one nation under God. Why wouldn't we honor that during Easter week in downtown with the flags, on the flags question? So you can have your preferences on what policies you want to get in there and how they are articulated, and you can find somebody, no matter kind of where you're on the political spectrum tonight, where you line up behind. But if we are just talking about who had the best night, I thought probably Josh, maybe by a nose, had a good night. I personally have some questions about some of the policy there and some of the votes and some of the stances there. I didn't like the one he said, I don't know. I think it was him who said, I don't know. And I forget what the question was. I took a zillion notes. There was one note where I don't know, and then one where I don't care. And I don't like those answers in a debate.
I think the I don't care was was it the convention center?
I thought it was a convention center. Yep, that's right. And I can't remember what the question was. I don't know, but it was fairly early on. I'll find that. Okay.
701-293-9000. We're only going to be here for a couple more minutes, so if you got a question or a comment on tonight's debate, jump in right now. A few minutes left before Steve and I roll out of here and get back to regular programming. What did you, as the moderator, what was your takeaway from tonight in general?
I thought there would be some haymakers thrown tonight, and I was surprised. It was way more cordial than I thought. I thought our first half we actually had a little bit of back and forth. Michelle called out Josh on downtown, and Josh said, "Hey, I'm running the state. I don't run the downtown area."
Yeah, but you still represent.
But I represent it. Yes,
you still, Josh. You still own that
Yes,
district.
but I thought if what you believe is true, and I've heard others say that, I'd have no idea to what's going to happen to this. But if it is a race between Michelle and Josh, I thought Michelle would have burned every possible opportunity to confront Josh. And I thought she would go after him. I thought he would go after her. And he didn't really Josh didn't do that.
He's not that kind of guy, though. You know, he's just, like you said, he's a very laid back. I got friends like that you just cannot.
But if you're in a head-to-head race with somebody and it's neck and neck down the stretch, unless he's got polling that says it doesn't matter, I can just rise above it. But I thought Michelle would take more shots at Josh and try to delineate a little bit with him and just say, look, every time, whatever she wants to say, like every time he votes for spending, it's about to spend more. Every time it's about more liberal social policies that are making it so we can't go downtown. I just thought she might have the most to gain from really going after Josh tonight. Sekou, I thought, was probably more combative than anybody.
Well, yeah,
he went after everybody.
He's got nothing to lose, man.
Absolutely.
And he brought it up. Michelle can go. She's going to go back to being commissioner if she does not become mayor. Josh is still a sitting senator for the state. So they've got nothing. So he's got nothing to lose. All right, we got like 3 minutes left. Let's see if we can get all these calls in. All right, callers, you got to go quick. MJ, you're first.
Yeah, it was an awesome thing. I think that in the needle thing, when Denise Kolpack votes for needles, she forgets that we're a family in West Fargo got affected by the cartel. Baby who's 1 year old, that the mom got into stuff downtown Fargo when she went to get help, and she should be directly responsible for this child having lifelong injuries due to her decisions. That is not somebody I would ever vote for mayor, but you guys did a good job on the debate tonight.
Thanks, MJ. Appreciate it. To Argusville, Carl, go quickly. You're up.
Yep, Dave was winning. Dave was winning until right at the end. He was having a really good night until he stepped in it. But what he should have done is he should have taken one of his challenges and said, I'm going to issue my challenge to all of you out there to go and vote. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Carl. Boy, it sounds like that legacy fund.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting. I didn't think people would be all that riled up about it, but I get where they're coming from.
When I was in my office, I'm like, Dave, did you just say that? Mike, Fargo, quickly, you're up.
Hey, thanks for the debate, guys. I just want to know your thoughts when Denise asked Piepkorn why he wasn't at that meeting, and he said he was scared for his safety. That didn't seem very mayoral.
Yeah, that and that was no surprise to me because he said that before. He was having a real problem with what was happening down there at these commission meetings with the crowds kind of getting out of control. So that didn't take me back, but I was wondering the same thing when Dave said, hey, look, I didn't feel for my safety. I'm like, okay, are people going to go, wait a minute here. You're a big dude. You want to be the mayor and you're afraid to go to a commission meeting? So I did catch that one.
And at the same time, I remember what it was like when that was going on. Yeah. It was ugly.
I wouldn't want to step in one of the meetings either.
I hear that. And if we would say to, like, a 21-year-old young woman, it's okay for you to fear for your safety, then we should give the same benefit of the doubt to a guy who's 50 years old who says, look, I felt like I might get my butt kicked. And our security isn't great down there anyway, so I understood that answer.
And that's a great point that Dave did bring up. And he's been hounding on that for a while, and not just him, others. But there's basically you got a couple officers down there, but you can't have people rolling into a city commission meeting when it gets heated like that, and they just come rolling in with backpacks.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Bill, you're up. Go ahead, buddy. Got about a minute.
Hey, guys. Thanks for hosting the debate. It was really fascinating, fun to watch, stuff like that. Couple of comments. Josh Boshee's clearly gone to politician school.
Oh, he's smooth.
Every answer was polished and had the perfect way to to approach it and stuff like that, and silver-tongued and say a bunch of things about nothing and take very little positions on things. Denise Kolpack, not a leader, just wants to, I guess I'd call her a secretary. She wants to organize meetings.
We got to leave it there, my friend. Thanks. Have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bill, appreciate it. We got to go. Okay, folks, we got to rock and roll out here. We got about a minute, Steve. So we got about 1 minute, I'm being told. 1 minute?
I'm sorry. I
1 minute,
saw a
Addison?
different number on my script.
Okay,
Apologies.
About 1 minute. All right. I will give you 30 seconds, candidate. Go.
Oh, you're looking at me?
I'm talking to you, buddy.
What do you want me to do?
You got 30 seconds to wax poetically. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to say what I said at the end of the debate. I applaud all these people for getting in. The amount of time and effort and the money they put in. This is not a cheap thing if you want to be a contender.
No.
I'm glad they're in. I think they serve the community well. There's a choice here for everybody. I have my own personal opinions, and those that know me will understand exactly what that's all about. I just hope that people in the community look at what creates a good community, prosperity, and safety. We need more of that.
All right, buddy. Unlike you folks, West Fargo, we have one person. We know who our mayor is.
Eric
All right, listen,
Congrats, Mayor.
Back to normal programming. You can catch Steve tomorrow on the Steve Halston Show on the Flag. Starting at 9, I'm back at 2 from my pool tomorrow. Have a great one.
Gosh, are you kidding?
Seriously.